Hello, Free Enterprise fans here. Welcome to the last match of the round of 32 here. I'm here joined by Motas. How are you feeling about this race?
Well, we've got actual JP here with Mecha. They're both 0 and 5, so this is purely a pride match for them. They both already know they will not be making the round of 16. However, this match does have some ramifications for how the round of 16 is going to go. Because basically, the top 4 players currently will get to draft their opponents in a snake draft for the brackets. And at the moment, we currently have ties for 2nd/3rd and 4th/5th. So, long story short, if Mecha wins this match, Inven is going to get into the 4th place spot. If actual JP wins this match, Dia is going to get into the 2nd place spot. Otherwise, it's going to be a coin flip for 2nd between PK and Dia, and a coin flip for 4th between Inven and Baka Shinobi.
Alright, a lot of big words here, but let's get into the objectives here. We've got complete the Antlion Nest, unlock the Pastor in Troya, and wake in with the pan here. So we've got 2 key item hunts here, freebie objective, and we've also got an Edward start. So this is looking like it could potentially be a bit of a Jetty seed. Eddy strats are already like an option you get since you are stuck with that Edward here, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you hate to see an Edward start here with Permajoin because your starting character is the only one that you're actually forced to take. But like you said, Edward does have some utility, especially in the case that you could take a very early Threemus fight if your timing is great. But it is a commitment, and you also, any mistake will cause you to wipe and waste a lot of time.
Yeah, but there's also the possibility that Pan and Pass are somewhere hidden in Moon behind some really dirty and gross bosses, but we'll see what happens here. Waking with having a Pan potentially required is always nice because, you know, that's a lot of key items you can get just out of one check that you are already making anyways here. Pastor could be interesting since it could mean that Moon is not going to be required, which could lead to Edward strats becoming even more viable. But as of right now, it just looks like this Edward's just going to be a complete liability, just taking up one party slot and making it a little bit harder to potentially take a Tella to go for that name machine. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, even though it looks like the moon may not be required, that Darkness Crystal is kind of a double whammy because it also opens up the Giant of Babo, which has the major grind fights that we're all used to seeing. So if they can't find that Darkness Crystal, if it's buried behind, say, Fey March bosses, then you're right. The low-level Edward strats may become more and more persuasive.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. There's also always that forge there that could shake things up a little bit. I don't know, depending on what happens here. We're definitely not going to see any weird, quirky antlion fades here, unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess. So, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Let's see. We're also going to be looking probably for a Tella. Very popular mage parties, especially, have been very popular in table seeds, and you need Tella in order to make the grinds worth it with the weak spell early from Mount Ordeals. But we're not seeing Tella here at the beginning. Instead, we find a Palom. That's exactly what we're looking for, actually. What
Nice.
Excalibur?
That's interesting. So, I'm expecting to see. Okay, well, actual JP is going to be taking out Palom, while Mecca is going to be saying no. Palom is the best black mage in the game. He gets Quake and Virus relatively early compared to Rydia. Gets them a lot later than he does. Mecha's going to be opting not take him, but that Excalibur is going to be real spicy to start with.
Yeah, I mean, just knowing that you have that in your inventory kind of helps you make a decision if you find a Cecil, who's usually a liability in these seeds, but if you already have an Excalibur or a Crystal Sword, that kind of makes your decision harder to make about him.
Now, I think it is, I think it is a little bit more questionable to take him because Edward is generally not going to be really doing much for your party, and I mean, you know, taking a Cecil here is going to make him be, it's going to make him not be the anchor, which is going to mess with your, which is going to mess a lot with you in general, especially since Edward isn't really going to be doing much apart from being an anchor. I mean, he could potentially do some damage with the bow here, but he's basically stuck being an anchor, and taking a Cecil could really hurt that. Now, JP is going to go into Evelyn Castle. Unfortunately, didn't actually save before, finds the trap chest, resets, and has to go through the cutscenes again. So that is pretty unfortunate here.
Yeah, it was kind of unique strategy. You hardly ever see someone go to Castle Eblin first, although the right side of the castle has been very popular for runners in this tournament. Meanwhile, Mecha finds a Yang in the water egg. We'll see how much he loots the rest of it while he's at it.
I'm not surprised to not see him sleeping in here. Yang is not a very good mid-game or leading character. Now, he is a really strong slingshot since he gets a ton of HP. After being slingshotted, you can have a 6 HP Yang if you slingshot him, right? So that can be really great, but early game, I don't expect to see many of the runners really take him. Looks like Mecha is just really going to loot a little bit of the front here. It's going to be going straight to Damsien to do some more of those free character checks here. He might even loot it a little bit here, but I'm expecting to see him go straight to Antliner soon enough here.
Definitely. We've for sure seen a pivot from the group flags to the table flags of players being more worried about knowing what characters are available rather than knowing what gear they can get early.
So we are going to see a Sid there. Did Mecha take the Sid? I actually didn't see that. Either way, Sid is always really nice to see here, especially when you have an Edward start, since a Sid early game, even with just his wooden hammer and base equipment, that basically takes care of your entire early game here now. Our tracker is going to be telling us that he did not, in fact, take the Sid here, but Sid can take care of your early game, and you know, in the case that you don't really find many like potential DPS here early game, taking a Sid is going to be really, really strong. We're also seeing a Rosa at the top of the Mount Hob, so there's your white mage. We've seen a fair bit of strong characters here early game, so that's always nice to see.
Yeah, Rosa and Palom are very good to see. Those are definitely characters that our players are going to want for the end game. Mecha not interested in fighting that evil wall right now to get Rosa, but we'll be checking ordeals here for the character here as well.
Yeah, you kind of need damage to get through that evil wall, so I'm not surprised at all to see him play that a little bit. But in the meantime, we're gonna be finding a Kane at ordeals. Yeah, not surprised to see the reset there. Kane can be really, really good, especially with this jump. He can get any mage party through Valvalis. The main issue with taking Kane, especially this early, is that you need weapons, because his base weapon is just complete garbage. So early game, it definitely makes a lot of sense to reset out of him, and he's going to be going on his way to Mysidia, and we're going to be seeing a Tella. That's going to be real nice to see early, and Tella's going to be accompanied by Iridia, so that's real nice to see early on.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, the players have all the tools they need now. We've seen two black mages who can cast Nuke in the end game. We've seen Rosa. We already stuck with Edward, and we've seen Tella to enable our grind. So they can really take it. The problem is they're not going to be able to build their ideal party, probably, because stacking it full of mages right now could be a liability if they hit any bosses that have, kind of defenses against magic like CPU, or if they end up having to fight some of the boss spots that have high magic defense, like Cave Magnets.
I'm surprised to see Mecha take the Iridia here, but it does make a sense since Iridia if Iridia gets something like Titan here off Hobbs, that can be really, really good. If you find herself early on, she can really be your DPS, so she can be really, really helpful. That being said, looks like Imp to me, so yeah, that's going to be a reset.
Yeah, unfortunate. Imp is a single target, low damage summon. I have no idea why they put it in the game originally, but it's pretty useless.
Looks like Mecha's goal was actually to save Scum the summon here, so that's interesting. So it looks like that was the reason why he took the Iridia there. I was a little surprised here. In the meantime, though, actual JP looks like he's going to be taking he has the Palom, and he also is taking the Sid, so JP has his early game pretty much sorted out completely. He's not worried about basically anything in the overworld, especially the Antlion Cape here, but he does have to go around and get some more checks here now. Time to see what Mecha decides to do here. I'm imagining he's not going to be taking the Iridia, but he's probably going to be taking the Tella, since Tella he has a ton of utility even before ordeals, because he comes with Blink, which is really, really good.
Yeah, and I definitely it's no surprise that actual JP took that Sid. It with permajoin, it's always kind of a push and pull between who you want and or need for the early and mid game and who you would like to have for the end game. You can't have it all, so you sometimes have to sacrifice some of your end game power just so that you can get through the early game, and Sid is going to enable that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that's really unfortunate about Edward starts and Cecil starts to some extent is that you have a wasted party slot, like no matter what. Tella as well can be really annoying since typically in the ideal world you have 4 mages and an anchor Tella, but that's obviously not going to be happening here since Tella can't anchor, and once we get to the real late game, if we go for a mage party, both of these runners are basically going to be having an Edward that's going to be doing nothing, and a Tella that is probably not going to be doing anything either. So you have one less slot to really work with here with Edward starts. Now that's not going to matter if we see something like like Edward starts coming to play here, but we'll see what happens.
And it looks like we're finally going to get a key item check here. Mecha is in the Antlion Cave and saved up.
Yep, this spot is always fairly standard to go through. Has 1000 HP, so both of our runners should be getting through it quickly. Now, I'd like to talk about Mecha actually found an Earth Hammer in one of the chests by Antlion. That's going to be real nice for that Sid, and it also could be useful for a Mac Giant. Now, I doubt either of our runners are going to be doing a Mac Giant since I believe both of them took Tella, but that Earth Hammer makes early game completely free for actual JP, while it might be a little bit rougher for Mecha.
Yeah, seeing Dark Elf here is not the worst boss you could see, but it's not the best either. It's going to waste a lot of time that you would normally not waste, and the ways that we would have to normally cheese Dark Elf don't work because your Tella doesn't have weak yet. But both players should be able to get through it regardless. Only 1000 HP at this boss location.
Yeah, we did actually see a bluff up from coming out from Mecha, which will give Palom. I like to put it in this way: Palom will grow an extra arm and equip a Stardust Rod in it temporarily, so that's gonna give him plus 15 Wisdom after bluffing up here. Now, unfortunately, that piggy onto the Palom here gonna slow down. Okay, not out of MP, never mind. But yeah. This is going to be a little bit of slog here, and I actually think that JP is going to be making up a lot of the time he lost by going to Evelyn Castle, just through the virtue of having that Earth Hammer, which he's gonna get through this Dark Elf a lot quicker. And Tella, okay, does Tella have stop? Actually, does he start with it? I don't remember.
I believe he does.
Yeah, I thought so, but I wasn't sure. But yeah, if Tella does start with stop, then he will be able to stop the Dragon Form. So shouldn't be too much of an issue here. Yeah, he does start with stop. So yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely going to see from JP here a lot of time gain because Mecha is not even just reaching the second half of the fight here. And my guess is Dark Elf is going to go down in, 3 swings from this Sid.
Yeah, that's going to be really quickly here. I don't even think JP is going to have to worry about stopping the Dragon Form.
JP's trying to kill his Edward off.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, that Edward is not going to be doing much else, but, it might be relatively useful to have Tella alive. I mean, he does get some utility, and I guess extra HP on the old man could be useful, but I mean, Edward's not really doing much else except potentially doing any strats, but since you've already got a Tella and you've seen 2 black mages and also a white mage, you're not really too worried about doing edgy strats at this point, I think.
Mecha trying to get as much damage out as possible, even attacking with initial Harp Edward.
Yeah, that isn't going to be doing much damage. Oh my god! The 9 damage kill on the wow. That's hilarious.
Who would have thought? Well, not a key item, but I'm not going to say no to a ribbon.
Yeah, plus it is also an objective here, but yeah, it looks like JP should be getting through that fairly quickly, and yeah, as I mentioned before, going to be a much, much faster fight here. So looks like JP is going to be catching up a little bit here.
Always nice to get a really overpowered armor piece from a required objective.
Yeah, especially one as early as Antlion that's literally your first check here. Both players are going to be exiting out here. Another advantage Tell has early game is he starts with exit, and exit is good. Exit be fast. So Mecha is also going to be walking over to Fabul here, where now there is an argument to be made, especially with Wake Yang with the pan, to actually fade Fabul a little bit to try and do it all in a single dip. I think the main argument against it would be that Fabul is pretty good XP. You have a Palom in your party that's basically going to be your DPS since Mecha hasn't taken this hit, and the XP is pretty nice as well. And also the objective is Wei Yang with the pan. If it was Sheila too, I think the argument would be stronger. So I think that's why Mecha is doing this.
Meanwhile, JP is wanting to get through that evil wall, and Sid is going to enable it to be done quite quickly here. Wants to pick up the Rosa.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense. With having a pretty early 5-man party here, this is interesting. You don't typically see this very often, but it's gonna be interesting to see how this. Mecha's gonna be running with 3 party members here.
It's I have a feeling JP is gonna be able to make up a ton of time over Mecha with this 5-person party.
Yeah, that's one of the interesting things about Table, and I kind of expected to see it a little bit more. Was seeing people take 5 characters a lot earlier, just because that gets you through the early game so much faster. Now, that does hurt your grind a lot, especially because it's a lot harder to set up slingshots when you ran with 5 characters for a lot longer. That being said, this is still this is going to get imped a lot through the early game a lot more quickly, while it looks like Mecha is going to be going with the more traditional, three party members until you just can't get away with it anymore, or it's time to grind. So it'll be interesting how this works out for both runners.
Yeah, it's definitely 2 completely different strategies as far as your experience management, but we can see JP is keen to get the party power and start to crush some key item spots.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this works out. While more base level harp attacks are coming out from Mecha here. Bluffed up Palom lit once here. Looks like this Octomammoth is losing a lot of its tentacles here, and should be over fairly quickly, while JP's going to be flying to Fabul, again, likely, and see what happens. Now, I think JP's Palom probably has lit too, so that's going to get him through this Octomammoth even faster thanks to that extra XP from Octomammoth, from the Evil Wall.
We do find the pass here at Castle Fabul. Wow, so 2 objectives, the first 2 key item checks. That's not too shabby.
That is really spicy, actually. So, this could work out really, depending on how things go, this could work out really well for JP taking 5 party members, since it is looking a lot jettier of a seed here. But we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, all we need is underground access and a pan and/or legend and adamant, and our runners can be on their way. So if the underground or the rest of the overworld pays off any of those key items, Edward strats are definitely going to be looking like the way to win this race.
Yeah, this is looking like a really interesting seed here so far. But yeah, JP should be making up a lot of time. Oh my god, yeah, he's gonna be having a much faster fight than Mecha did, just thanks to that lit 2 and those extra levels from Hobbs. Which is why I think I've seen a lot of runners doing Hobbs early on, even if they don't want the character, because the XP is really nice to see. Can really boost up something like a Palom early game.
Yeah, once again, you get a free heal before the Fabul fight, so JP did have to waste some turns putting his Edward down on the ground again. We can see that's definitely signaling that he intends to use Edward as an agility anchor later in the game. Meanwhile, keeping Tella there for now for the accuracy boost.
Yup, and looks like Mecha is going to be walking through Troy here now. Now that he's here already, just checking shops in general, I'm actually half expecting him to open the pass door for now, because there is a chance that you get well, actually, no, never mind. Not with these objectives. So you probably don't open it up, but if we had a moon objective, then it would be interesting to see him open the door, since there's a chance that he wouldn't go through the pass door, but it looks like he's probably going to go through the pass door.
We did see Lifes and Kamikazes as well as Thor Rages here in Troya, so this is paying out a lot of the kind of staple items that we're looking for in a seed like this.
Yeah, apart from something like a Dancing Dagger, as Oach mentioned in chat here, or just some random arrows, maybe, potentially. Don't really need much else from Overworld shops.
Yeah, the one item that we haven't seen yet that our runners are both going to be desperately wanting, if it becomes as jetty as is possible, is we need Star Veils, for sure. That we need those to enable low-level Zeroma strats?
But yeah, Mecha is going to be going up ordeals here. Don't expect to see him take the cane here. And likely is just doing this to try and get the extra spells on Tella. Tella will learn all of his spells once you do ordeals. It also turns Cecils into paladins, which is going to allow them to equip that Excalibur. Now, we haven't seen a single Cecil yet, but it could theoretically come into play here.
And I like the fact that both players are going up ordeals, because this could be right where we actually get to see JP get ahead of Mecha. The 5 characters here are definitely going to speed up these 3 boss fights, especially with the Golbez there at the front of the bridge.
Yeah, so that's actually really interesting to talk about, because Golbez means that whatever key item is here cannot be your in-logic underground access. So that means it's either at Baron or something behind Baron or Spicy Demist here. But I think both of our runners, regardless of this being out of logic or not, are probably going to go through this. Are probably going to go through ordeals here just because they want to get Tell of those spells.
Yeah, there's that. Plus, there's always the chance that both types of underground access are above ground, in which case this could still be the Magma Key with the hook at one of those non-gated by Golbez locations.
Yeah, it's always nice when you go through an out of logic location and find a hook, because then that guarantees you that there's a Magma Key somewhere else.
Now, luckily, JP's Edward is already dead, so the coin flips here on Golbez have a better chance to keep the characters he wants alive.
Yup, as it looks like Mecha is going to be reflecting the spells. It's going to be doing a lot of reflected damage now. Golbez's script, when he places little dialogue after he dies, only plays once you do direct damage to him. So these reflective spells can kill him, but it'll take much, much longer because of the extra HP he has. So you have to do direct damage here. And it looks like that's exactly what Mecha's going to be doing, as there is Golbez going to be going wide, just as JP is going to be getting the heal. Looks like he has a Palom and a Sit Alive. This should be fine. Putting up a Veil here. Unfortunately, Palom's going to die, but Sit Alive should be able to get through this.
Yeah, this is a situation where, as long as you have the Reflect up, just swing away.
But yeah, it looks like he's going to be lifing up Palom here, probably to get the extra Fire 2 damage, but Board Face AI says no, fortunately, but he should be through it much, much quicker.
Oh, yeah, JP would have liked experience on some of his other characters as well for this, but not going to happen today.
Yup, and we are going to see some French vanilla here with the back attack Mylon here. That could be a little annoying since the drains are definitely going to get off here, but a few AoEs should take care of this and should be quick here. Now, I think this is another place where the Sid is actually going to make a pretty big difference for JP here, since getting all the AoE damage out is going to be a little bit hard for Mecha, while JP is going to be able to use that Earth Hammer as an item, which will cast well, it's a weaker Quake, but it's still a Quake, so it should get rid of all the ghasts, and then it's just punching Mylon.
Yeah, the discount Quake is actually gonna be kind of an indicator. 'Cause you can see on Mecha screen the damage for his mages is not great here, but as we noted before, JP's Palom actually has a little bit more EXP, just a bit more than Mecha's.
Yeah, about 4,000 more because of Hobbs, which is making a pretty big difference and did catch him up quite a bit, and just the fact that he has 5 characters. Now, actually opts to use a Stardust, which does just as well as the Earth Hammer would have done here. But yeah, all those ghasts are gone, and now it's just going to be a case of casting. Now, Fire does not actually do extra damage to Mylon, but regardless, he's going to be getting through it a lot quicker. And yeah, Mecha started this fight about like 30 seconds, 45 seconds earlier than JP did, and looks like JP's going to be getting through it at around the same time here, potentially even a little bit sooner.
Yeah, this Mylon is actually a pretty fast puncher, so it's not a trivial battle on Mecha's side by any means.
Yup, and especially considering the fact that Mecha only has basically 2 active party members while Edward is hiding out here. This is a little rough here, but both runners should be getting through it soon enough.
We're having some Thorage puns in chat.
And yup, there's going to be the Oh My Body coming out from JP here. Going to be a little bit going to be faster than JP, and that's going to show just how big of a difference not just the Sid, but also just having more levels and more characters is making here. But again, Mecha can catch up here if it does end up being a longer seed, because he's going to have much more flexibility with not just his party composition, but also the fact that he's going to be able to set up slingshots for characters much more easily.
Yeah, especially with mages, you really can't overstate how important a slingshot is. It's the difference between getting a mage to the correct levels for nuke with the same amount of D machines that's getting your already leveled party members up there, or taking a very long grind to get to nuke.
Yup, and that's actually really interesting item to see. We're gonna get a vanilla legend sword, so that's really sick, because that's basically that is going to put us that much closer to go mode, which is that's pretty ridiculous here. And we still haven't found underground access. Still have Baron left, but it means that our underground access will probably be there unless there's just a random D-miss somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, so far the overworld hasn't been very forthcoming with lots of key items. Right now, we're still only have the pass and the legend sword, and as you said, Baron Inn is basically the only place left to check.
Yup. But Tel's gonna be getting his spells here, gonna be getting his Medio. Probably not gonna see much use of that, although I did see a Soma drop, so I mean, it could have some niche uses. But yeah, JP is pretty nicely ahead of Mecha here, just again thanks to that Sid and also just having more party members. And now he's gonna walk over to Baron. Have we seen what the character at Baron is?
You know, I don't believe that either player went there. They both kind of went straight away from Baron, didn't even peek.
Okay, so it looks like our tracker is going to say that there was actually a Tela at Baron Inn, so yeah, Mecha actually did pass it, so I don't think that's gonna affect anything for any decision making for our runners here, since 1 Tela is great and all, but 2 Telas is not very good.
Now, chat is already discussing a possibility that we have already seen in some other matches in this tournament, which is maybe Magma or Hook at the Magus Sisters boss behind a D-Mist.
Yep, and it looks like actual JP's gonna be walking up on over here. Gonna see the Tela, and Leviathan first spot should be fairly quick here. Now the real scary one could be the second boss potentially, but I don't think that's gonna be an issue for JP, and it might be an issue for Mecha depending on what the boss. Oh my god! depending on what the second boss is. But we'll see what happens. This first spot only has 400 HP.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see Leviathan here because you're guaranteed to take at least a quarter of your party's HP off. So you're going to be going a little weak into the second fight, but as you were saying, it does depend all on what the second fight is. A lot of fights would give you a lot of extra wiggle room here, and we do see the red robe, which means this is Dark Imps.
This is actually a little bit rude since they will get a lot of turns off very quickly, and this one is actually fairly punchy for how early it is. It is the karate spot, but with Atella in the middle, Stone should get it done, but the punch right on Tella here. And yeah, this is looking like a bit of a disaster, but we'll see what happens here if he's able to figure this one out. But wow, the Cure 2 gonna get picked off, and yeah, this is GG here. Again, showing just how rude the back spot is with 3 party members here, and I don't know if Mecha's gonna be able to make this work either.
Yeah, I don't know. Mecha would have to get extremely lucky to, and Tella's down. And Tella's really the way here. You need him to live long enough to stone them.
Yeah, I think one interesting idea would be getting a blink off on Tella. That would certainly do the job, but we'll see what happens here and what either runners decide to do since all it takes is 1 stone as well. Lowering the battle speed could also be helpful.
Yeah, so nasty Ice 3 there on Rosa. You can see JP's taking his time here with the Leviathan fight now. This time wants to get his party in better shape heading into the second fight.
Yep, and it does look like he is going to be in a pretty good spot now with 5 party members alive here. There is a much better chance of Tella actually not getting punched here, and Tella could also probably be able to tank one of the punches, so yeah.
Yeah, damage rolls in Final Fantasy IV are pretty interesting, but you never know. Yeah. Sometimes you'll get hit by some Stalemen for 1, and sometimes they'll hit you for 600.
Oh, no!
He lived with 1 HP and then just got punched again.
Face, why? But yeah, they are just going really, really fast. If he's gonna get to the Tella over, now Tella might be able to tank. Oh, okay, the stone's gonna get off, and it should hit here, and that's gonna be good. He doesn't really care about having Palom alive here since the spot doesn't give any XP here. But yeah, Mike is about to come into his second attempt at the Dark Imps here. So we'll see what happens here as we're gonna see the Baron Key here. So looks like we're going to be led further down the rabbit hole to get our underground access.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that this Dark Imp fight may be what actually forces Mecha's hand to fill another character slot. At least one, grab the Sid, and try to power through it like that.
Yeah, this is a little bit rough here. I would like to see him maybe try blinking here, but we'll see what he decides to do. Looks like he is indeed going to be getting another character here. At the very least, going to do some more shopping checks. It looks like he's going to be walking over to Mistgave and check that spot to see if it has a sneaky Demus with a Magnum Key or some kind of chain here, while JP's going to be going... Oh, wow, that's an old gauntlet. Yeah, you're not doing that. But he's going to be walking over, going to be checking this gated shop right here. Since gated shops do have better loot, and this one is gated behind the Baron Key. So let's see what happens if we see a curse string. Nothing much. Maybe those bandanas could be useful, but not much else.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Everybody likes the alt gauntlet, but that's the one in Cave Mist is one that we'll never really see any players ever fight unless they were super desperate in like a Cata Seed to get some experience.
Yup. But it looks like Mecha is still going to refuse to take any more characters here. I definitely can see why he's doing this, because he You don't want to get stuck. You have one. You really want to keep those slots open. Because they could be really really useful and nice to have later on. So, gonna be looting Eblin. I'm not sure what he's looking for here, but probably looking for something like a glass hat. I think. Could you pull? You can pull. You can pull that, right? I'm pretty sure you can.
Yeah, you definitely can.
Yeah, or some armor, I guess. Oh wait, he doesn't have a sit. But yeah, just something to get him through this would be nice.
Now, we did already see at the beginning of the game, if I'm remembering correctly, it was Odin at the Beigen spot here in Baron Castle, so that's who JP is about to be facing.
Yep, with Tella and the Lit 3s should be a fairly simple fight here. Lit 2 on Palom as well should do the job very, very quickly.
Yeah, and it looks like progression will definitely be here in Baron Castle because we've now seen both of the optional bosses here in the overworld, and Demist was not there. So we're looking at a longer chain here, or we're looking at the Hook or Magna Key.
Or we are looking at a potential really trolly Demist at Maga Sisters. That would be the dream, but we'll see what happens as JP is about to take this Odin on. Should be a fairly simple fight here, and Mecha looks like he is going to be getting outside of Avalon Castle, interested to see if he decides to take any extra characters, or, well, just what he's going to do in general. Looks like he's going to be doing some more looting here through the back of Watery Pass, which he did not loot at the beginning.
Yeah, you can see Mecha's pretty committed here to the 3-party member strategy and is just trying to find any other way that would get him through this Dark Imps fight. An Hourglass would make it free if he could find one of those. Even an Hourglass 1 would do.
There is also technically the idea of Odin, actually, because if he took Iridia and then used Odin, that would work. And yeah, in the meantime, that Lit 3 is going to be destroying the Odin from Tella. Old Man can be useful, so yeah, a lot of damage going to be coming out here, and time to see what the boss of the throne is. But first, we're going to get some looting. All right. Oh, but a heroine robe here. That's going to be really nice to put on Rosa.
Yeah, not only that, but we did find a coffin, which would have been useful like one boss fight ago.
Yeah, but coffin could still be really, really nice. For some later boss fights as well. Like, for example, you could, if you found Kuiper guards at a root spot of moon, you could just quickly get rid of that, of the officer.
Yeah, we were nice, and we kept the boss bit off on the non-boss enemies.
Yeah, I think DKC would be pretty terrifying if we didn't. But yeah, it looks like Mecha is just going to be going back here. Looks like, I don't know, I wasn't really paying much attention, so I don't know what he picked up here. But we are going to be seeing a moon boss here. I'm kind of hoping for Wyvern, just so he has to redo the fights over, but we'll see what happens.
Well, if we did see a Wyvern, it would guarantee that progression was at Demist at Magus Sisters.
Yeah, that would also be pretty glorious. But instead, we're just going to see an Ogopogo. I mean, just an Ogopogo. That is pretty rude, but I honestly would like to see it somewhere ruder here. But should be able to get through it fairly quickly. Has plenty of DP physical damage with that Sid, and that Rosa with the Heroine Robe should be doing work here.
Yeah, definitely nice, especially, you like to see some damage out of Rosa in the early and mid game. Of course, as you get closer to the Zeromus fight, she's going to transition more to just using white magic. But while your party's kind of damage poor, she could definitely do some work, especially, as you said, with that Heroine Robe.
Yup, should be over fairly quickly. I don't actually know what arrows she's holding, but I think it might be charm arrows, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Meanwhile, JP's kind of showing off one of the big pitfalls of Tella. Only 90 MP, and he's out of useful amounts of MP here.
Yeah, that is always really annoying, but I mean, should be able to get through this Ogo fairly quickly here, even if he's just throwing Cure 2 potions. Could always go for something like a spicy grimoire or something like that. Looks like he was looking for, I'm imagining ethers here, but just gonna pass on that. I mean, Sid's not taking much damage anyways, and you can probably cure him up with just the, with just your potions, and he should be okay. But yeah, yet another attempt here, gonna be coming out from Mecha, see what he tries to do here.
Yeah, it looks like Mecha's strategy is just going to be, hope he gets lucky and Tella doesn't get one-shotted. He did live through the first punch. If the other two punches hit the other two, then this would be good. But no, Tella goes down.
Yeah, that is never nice. Here in the meantime, JP's going to be using a Grimoire. We're going to be getting, that was Indra, I think. Still going to be doing too much damage, and it is going to be countered by Blaze. Gonna do a bit of damage here. This is looking like actually a fairly sketchy fight. Looks like Rosa's gonna be curing here, but because of that Parry Robe, it's not really gonna be doing much here. So this is looking a little bit sketchier than it was. Gonna be lifing up the Tella here, and this is getting a little scary here. Sid is gonna be getting cured too here though, so hopefully it'll happen. I don't know if the next big wave is gonna get double or a single. I guess we find out now. And there it is. Gonna be getting through the Ogopogo here. Gonna be seeing what the character and what the key item behind it is, if we are on a Demus Hunt or if we are not on a Demus Hunt.
Yeah, meanwhile, Mecha's trying again, rolling the dice. These Dark Imps need to attack once Tella, and oh, there's one for Edward, so this is good. We need one more to not target Tella, and we need the stone to land. There we go, there's two. There's the stone. We're getting it through.
Oh, Tella, no!
No, it misses.
Why? Oh, this is real bad. Although he is taking a... He is backward, so he doesn't take... Well, I just ate my words.
Yeah, Tella would really like to be in the middle slot here for the increased accuracy, but Mecha can't do that because he needs Edward to get a turn first to heal Tella from the Leviathan fight.
Yeah, that is always just really annoying. He could potentially do something weird like veiling Tella during the Leviathan fight and then curing him up before so that he doesn't get Ice 2'd and then using a Lit 2 to kill him. But we'll see what happens as we are going to be seeing a Magna Key here from Baron, so that is going to be our Underground access. No Demus Hunt today. And it doesn't look like there's going to be a check for the Odin spot, which makes sense since it is out of logic as well. And what bosses are you really going to be able to take on with this party at this low levels in Odin spot? Generally just free bosses. And I'm imagining here JP probably goes and checks Fey March and then does his freebies, even if you have Wake Yang.
Yeah, getting underground and checking your freebies has been very popular, not just in this tournament, but usually always when you get underground. Dwarf Castle was a nice play in the table flags, but we do not have the Warp Glitch on, was a nice play in the group flags. But here in table flags, we do not have the Warp Glitch on, so it's a little bit disincentivized over the earlier stages of this tournament.
Yeah, but it is still a really, really nice check since it does give you a lot of XP, and that character can be nice. Now, obviously, that doesn't matter for JP since he does already have 5 party members. And yep, I'm not surprised to see him pull the trigger and sell that Excalibur. Gonna be plenty of money here. It looks like he's gonna be buying some Star Bales. In the meantime, though, looks like Mecha actually has Tella in the middle here. He's gonna survive one hit, but he's gonna get punched again, and that's gonna be GG here.
There we go. Finally getting rid of the Excalibur for JP. Big stack of money from that.
Yup, and finally we're gonna be seeing Underground and see what it looks like here. But yeah.
Meanwhile, Mecha's still trying to get through. He can get through this if he gets lucky on the Dark Imp fight, but man, I can't help but think a Sid to soak a few of those hits would be in order.
Yeah, I would actually really like to see him blink the Tela first turn in the Dark Imp fight, because then that would basically make it free, but I don't know if you could get that off, I guess. Oh, it looks like the Edward's actually outspeeding the Tela here, so that's not great. But, yeah. That Big Bomb is doing a lot of damage here, and we're going to see it Job Dwarf. It's going to be a Patent Lawyer.
JP, even in such a high risk environment here in the tournament, giving the people what they want with the Temp Job Dwarf.
Yep, but in the meantime here, looks like JP is going to be going down to Feymarch, likely to check his freebies, probably take a peek at the 2 Feymarch fights, since if there's one free, that's pretty good XP as well.
Mecha turning the battle speed all the way down, hoping to eke out just a few extra ticks of ATB to put in commands for that Dark Imp fight.
I mean, he is really struggling with this, and it's never fun to take this many wipes to a boss fight, especially this early on, so we'll see when he hopefully gets through it. In the meantime, though, we're going to be seeing a hook at the Feymarch freebie. I mean, that is always nice to see. It is another character, and okay, actually, that doesn't matter, but it is always nice to see it. The character is nice. If you don't have it, Luke can be okay, but I think the biggest thing here is that it has the shops, and it also opens up the Rat Tail and Pink Tail turn-ins.
Yeah, I mean, if you've already got the Magma Key, it is nice to pick up the hook later because it does enable all those checks that you just said. Meanwhile, JP is going to show us who the Feymarch bosses are, at least going to do a peek here.
Yep. And we're going to see, oh, well, there's Threemus and Mom Bomb. You do not take either of those right now.
Yeah, I think if they were doable, they would be an immense time soak at the moment. So definitely need to come back later after you got some more experience under your belts.
I think you could probably do the Threemus, but no. But yeah, it looks like Mecha is finally going to be getting through those Dark Imps fight. He's going to be pretty far behind, but we'll see what he pulls off here, as he's going to be getting his Baron Key. And likely to get his Underground access soon here. In the meantime, JP is going to be buying an Ogre Axe for Sid here. That is a pretty nice weapon to have. It's always a bad feeling when you don't have enough MP to cast Exit.
Yikes. Luckily, there is the back door from the Feymarch. Little known fact, the secret room with the 4 treasure chests has an exit if you just go like backwards from the staircase.
Yeah, and if you're really desperate, you could always, I don't know, use the inn, I guess, which would be really interesting, but yeah. It looks like he's going to be using that back door, going to be walking out of here, while Mecha is going to be going through. I'm interested to see what he does once he gets underground here, if he's going to take any weird risks or anything like that, because I feel like if you struggle that much with the Dark Imps, you probably feel behind right now.
Yeah, it's Mecha definitely has got to feel behind. That's quite a lot of wipes to take in the early game before you're underground. So I really can't see him still skipping the freebies though, because if it's anything that pays off, well, it's hard to say.
It's always a tough call to make here. I definitely can see him skipping I could see him skipping Sheila 1. I don't know if you skip Famous freebies, though. But we'll see what happens. It would be an interesting gamble if he went to something like Keyless Tower right away or Dwarf Castle. If either of those plays paid off, he could catch up a lot here. And if his grind is, faster, then that could be really big for him. But in the meantime, both runners are going to be going... actual JP is going to be going to get his Sheila 1 check here. We'll see what he gets here.
Yeah, definitely if you think you're behind. I mean, because if the freebies pay off, then you've already lost because your opponent will have gotten to them first. But we'll see here. Sheila 1 does happen to be an Earth Crystal.
Pretty rock. So I think it's early enough that we will probably get to see and play our favorite game of Rate That Treasury. Although it is a little bit... although Zod is a little bit more of a... long and check, you don't really want to be doing too much in this, especially because you have 5 party members, and the characters aren't really going to be doing much, and it's really just going to be 2 bosses and cutscene % for 1 key item, but the treasury is nice, and the check is right on the way. So I think you can argue either way.
Yeah, I mean, in this situation where you only need 1 more key item, and there are 2 key items that give you that possibility, the fastest checks are definitely like the math way to go. But it also depends on what you think your opponent's going to do, and of course the difficulty of those spots. Like Earth Crystal would be pretty simple for JP at this point.
Yep, but we will see what happens here, as it looks like Mech is going to be getting to the Ogre. Now, he is going to have a very rough time with this Ogre with just 3 party members here, so... yeah, this is going to be a weird one. If he has Star Veils, he could reflect it. He could reflect spells off it, but even then, I think it's going to be pretty rude here.
Looks like the strategy is going to be to try to keep Palom alive and bluff him up to start really dishing some heavy damage.
Yeah, I don't know how much HP this spot has. Another interesting strategy would be to wall with Tella and then just reflect as many spells as possible, which would be another interesting start, but it's going to be pretty rough here.
And looks like JP is going back to Troya, checking some shops. May open the door, we'll see.
He is going to be opening the door here. Makes sense, it is on the way. And, you could, if you get to 10 key items off that crystal, that could be pretty nice. Oh, the Troyad! That NPC is the final boss. Almost twice. But yeah, in the meantime, JP is going to be walking up here, and it's likely that it's time for us to play our favorite game of Rating That Treasury. There's quite the tease now, but he is going to be opening it up now, and it's time to see what happens.
Rate That Treasury!
That is one of the worst I've ever seen.
So many empty treasure chests. We did get a Stardust Rod. That was basically...
No, that was a Stardust. That was a Stardust J item.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, the only, halfway decent thing out of that was, I guess, the Dragon Whip is money, and the Heroine Robe, I guess? Yeah, that was a real bad treasury.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about the boss scaling, and the Ogopogo here at the throne has 4,000 hit points that Mecha has to get through.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably doable with bluffed up viruses, and if you reflect a few of them, but if he doesn't have any Star Veils, then that's gonna be a lot rougher to pull off, and the amount of times you'd have to bluff to make that happen is pretty scary. It's pretty long. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Mecha's actually looting the Baron Tower. I haven't seen a full loot of this in quite some time. Does get to reward it with a tiara, though.
Yeah, I mean, this place has pretty good loot here. It does have a little bit of a nickname in the Baron Treasury because it is weighted pretty heavily and it can be really, really nice here. That tiara, not going to be helping though because it is only equipable on girls and he does not have any girls in this party. Yeah, in the meantime, where is this? This is first spot. No, this is Magna Sisters, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot if it... Yeah. That would make sense. But yeah, this fight's gonna be slow. It's gonna be a little bit of a cutscene percent, but should be. But once that happens, the fight should be over fairly quickly, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what's in the other spot here, what characters are there, and if JP gets anything of value out of here, because the treasury certainly didn't give him anything.
Yeah, I feel like this Ogopogo battle is another one that Mecha's really going to have to be relying on targeting luck in order for Palom to stay alive to actually clinch the deal.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how he goes about this fight here. Edward's really not doing anything, though, which is always really just unfortunate. But yeah, we'll see what happens here. He's looking for a spell. Okay, he's gonna be blinking up Palom here. More bluffs.
Yeah, there is a limit to how much bluff can raise your stats, but we are going to see a pretty beefy spell once Mecha finally decides to cast it at this point.
Yeah, I think it underflows at some point, actually, but don't quote me on that. But yeah, a lot of starter shots being equipped on those extra arms right now. He might be going for a one-shot, but yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't know how many bluffs is this, like 4? Something like that.
Yeah, it's at least 4.
Yeah, but in the meantime, JP's gonna be getting through the Luga here. Was a fairly simple fight from what I saw here, and he's gonna be going up. We saw a Rubicant sprite, so that could be Element or Rubicant at the second spot in Dwarf Castle. So it shouldn't be bad either way, and we're gonna be seeing French Vanilla Cane here. He already has 5 party members though, so it doesn't matter. So it's time to see what the boss is here. There are some rude things that could be here, like Magna Sisters here is actually pretty rude.
This has been the seed of duplicate characters. We had duplicate Tellas, duplicate Canes, duplicate Sids.
You know, but in the meantime here, it looks like Mecha is finally going to be choosing to unload all that bluffed up viruses. I'm kind of excited to see how much damage this does. That is a lot of damage. One more of those should kill, and I think he's got it.
Yeah, and you can see here the reason why Mecha wanted to get as much damage out of each cast as possible because of that Blaze counterattack.
Yeah, Ogopogo counters any spell with a directly casted spell with Blaze, and that can be really, really rude here. But in the meantime, we're going to be seeing a DKC here. Shouldn't be much of an issue at the Valhalla spot. You gotta survive those 3 swings, and Sid would do that for free, but also deciding to cure 2 just so he can keep more party members alive here. And Mecha does get through the Ogopogo here. Probably gonna be ditching the Edward here, and gonna be getting his Magma Key. So now it's time to see what he decides to do, because he definitely feels very far behind. I mean, after taking that many wipes and being into Underground at roughly an hour, it's not a good feeling.
Oh yeah, especially with no moon objectives, you have to be thinking like any key item check can put your opponent ahead of you. So seeds like this have been finished in an hour, hour 10. So that's got to be weighing really heavily on both players' minds. Even though JP has probably feeling pretty good because he hasn't had much trouble against any bosses, still, it's got to be in your mind, oh, if I went left, my opponent went right, that's over. And unfortunately, Zot is also a strikeout, gets a defense sword. Nobody can use swords in JP's party.
Yeah, I think if you are JP, you're probably feeling a little bit more concerned now that you just spent that much time doing a check that didn't really give you much of anything, especially because that treasury was just such garbage that if your opponent fates treasury, like that's going to be a pretty big advantage you're going to be getting over you. Now, that isn't going to matter nearly as much since Mecha literally just got underground, but that's going to be weighing a little bit heavily on her, and he might take some unnecessary risks, at least from our perspective. But yeah, in the meantime, he's going to be walking over, doing Dwarf Castle. Again, fairly quick check here.
Yeah, it's interesting, the Dragoon equipment is not exclusive to Kane, so Sid can wear Dragoon equipment, which is why you saw JP pick up the Dragoon gauntlets there.
Yep, and unfortunately, more good swords being sold away here. It's unfortunate, but not much you really can do with that sword apart from selling it here. But yeah, it looks like JP is either just checking the shops or probably gonna be doing this check. To answer a question from Zot in chat, no, JP did not check Odin's spot, and it doesn't look like Mecha did either, so yeah, they're gonna be about even on that front.
So JP's options are already decreasing because we've checked that Earth Crystal. We needed to check the Baron Key to get down here. So after this Dwarf Castle check, it's basically Keyless Tower is the play.
Well, and you have the Fame Arch fights, which is actually 3 checks. But yeah, we're gonna see about Valis here. This is actually kind of nice to see out of the way early, although I mean it's still kind of rude.
Yeah, no Kane in sight, so we're gonna have to rely on our mages actually hitting here.
Yep, or Zerking said here. That's also another solution. I'm not quite sure. I don't know how much magic defense she has here, but even if she has 254, she is gonna be taking very little damage.
Yeah, it looks like this Valhalis has 6 magic defense multipliers, so I'm not sure on that, to be honest.
So, and our restreamer Gundam confirming that nope, Valvalis cannot be hit by magic here. So yeah, that's gonna be a reset, and that's actually gonna suck. That actually sucks a little. That actually sucks for JP because he did a lot of shopping, and I don't think he saved. So yeah, a little bit of hesitation was probably because he was considering buying stuff again, but no, and so like after a little bit of arguing with himself in his head, is going to be deciding to go to Keyless Tower, which you really don't want to take either of those Fame Arch fights right now. Like, Mecha is just noping out immediately, and both of those Fame Arch fights are really rude and slow, and either way, it's like, you don't want to do either of those right now, so Keyless Tower is pretty much your next best option here, but hopefully there's nothing here, so they have to get through them.
Yeah, I'm very... That means we have 3 really tough spots here for our players to try to get through, and Mecha is going to be in a rough spot if it comes down to trying to kill that Valvalis at Dwarf Castle. I think it's going to wreck his three character plan for sure.
Best case scenario for Mecha is that after freebies, he goes immediately and does Keyless. And then once he does Keyless, hopefully that has value, because if it doesn't, then he's going to be in a pretty rough spot.
This is where Mecha's strategy can pay off, though, because if it turns out that Valvalis is necessary, Kane is available, and Mecha does have a party spot. The problem would be he'd be coming at initial level at that point.
Yeah, but you can get him some levels. I mean, there's always the strat that you can do where you can, be by the Dwarf Soup, outside Dwarf Castle by the Dwarf Soup, and just take some encounters in there, which should get you some decent XP and get Kane to respectable enough levels. But you really don't need Kane to do much damage here. I mean, you really just blink him, and then he just jumps and gets rid of the tornado form, so you can actually hit her with magic. So you really don't need to be doing much damage with Kane to get through that fight. I mean, it is nice if he is doing damage, but if he isn't, he's not, like, actively hurting you, I guess.
JP showing us the Kaipo guards on the top of the tower as well.
Yep, another freebie here. Stonecast is going to be coming out right now, and Tella is in the middle, so this is going to be guaranteed. While Mecha is going to be picking up his Earth Crystal. I'm interested to see if he dives it right away, much like JP did, or if he decides to go for something spicier. I would hope he goes for something spicier here, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
Unfortunately, Tella did miss that stone, so JP is going to be just missing out on the Officer EXP.
Yeah, but that's not too bad here, honestly, especially considering the fact that you have a Tella, so your grind's pretty well set up here. Wow. That's vanilla. That's nice.
You love to see it.
I guess so. But yeah, Mecha is gonna be kind of retracing actual JP steps here. Basically, gonna be going through. Yep, he's gonna be going to. He's probably gonna be leaving the treasury and is gonna be yelling at Gundam for rolling such a garbage treasury. But yeah. In the meantime, gonna be finding an Asura there. Not the Wyvern we were hoping for, but certainly. So this should be a fairly quick fight as well. Spot that's not much HP in isn't too terrible, so isn't terrible. Yeah, one hit from Rosa, and that's gonna be over with. So that's gonna be 2 key item checks coming out from tower here. Normally the gamble that is Keyless Tower, well, in this case it probably wasn't much of a gamble, but normally what would be a bit of a gamble is not gonna be a gamble at all because of the tower.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to have seen Ashura there. There's a lot of boss spots where Ashura will not only be very tough, but ones where she'll be safe, but yet take forever to kill. Unfortunately, Mecha making the Zot play. I mean, I don't blame him. This is kind of with his party power. The EXP at least will help, but it's not going to really pay off at all.
Yeah, but in the meantime here, actual JP is going to be getting his key item from the Super Cannon. And we'll see what happens. Hopefully those 2 bosses at the Fame Arch fight at Fame Arch are required. But yeah, we'll see what happens. And that's going to be a Darkness Crystal. That's going to be real nice to see here. And as you can see, yeah, JP is going to be immediately going up and getting that Lunar Whale up there. He has a Tello, so he's perfectly set up to grind here now. Unfortunately, he doesn't. He doesn't have 10 key items, right? Yeah, it doesn't look like that to me. Yeah, 7 key items here. But he's going to be instantly going up here, getting that big whale outside, and probably going to be setting up for D Machine here. I don't know if he has Ethers, but if he does have Ethers, then he's probably just going to be doing the Baron Manip just straight out. Just straight. Like, he's going to be doing the Baron Manip immediately. Okay.
Yeah, my only question now is, when JP is done with this grind, is he going to go down and challenge Dwarf Castle and the Fame Arch bosses, or is he going to play the numbers and go straight up to the moon?
I think it's actually probably better to go straight to, well, at least in my opinion, I would go and do the underground checks right away, because it's like Moon has more checks overall, yes, but at the same time, if you get your go mode underground, you don't have to sit through the cutscenes overall, and I think it's probably worth doing that.
Yeah, plus, if we do happen to find the Pan underground, that helps us out, so we won't be, like, deep in the underground of the moon and have to come back.
Yup.
Okay, so you're about to see JP deliberately take some random encounters outside Baron here. This is with the aid of a chart that's been developed in the community, specifically for this tournament, basically, because we have the no run flag on, and the random encounters in the Giant of Babel would tend to kill you because you can't run from them if you tried to set up this grind the regular way. So instead, we're going to set it up here outside Baron by counting the number of steps between encounters. When you have the knowledge of what RNG seed you're on, then you can go to the Giant and go ahead and get your grind fight.
Yep, JP is going to be setting up for the D Machine, which for the people that don't know is a pretty common grind in this flag set, where basically what you do is you find an encounter using this manip that has a searcher and 2 beamers. You kill the beamers, and then whenever you hit the searcher, what it does is it'll summon a D Machine, which you can cast weak on and then kill it, and that'll give, and you can just repeat that over and over and over and over to get a bunch of XP here in one single fight, which is probably the most common grind. Yeah, it is definitely the most common grind to see in this flag set. Additionally, you can also do life glitches by throwing a life potion at the D Machine just as it's going to die, which will basically give you double XP, because the D Machine will get revived with 0 HP because it has no vitality, so you'll essentially get double XP from each D Machine, which will cut the grind time a lot shorter. And stuff like 10 key items and slingshotting can also cut the grind short. Now, unfortunately for actual JP, he isn't gonna have those options available, so this is gonna be a fairly long D Machine, but since he's so far ahead of Mecha here, I don't know how much that's really gonna matter here, but yeah.
Yeah, JP would definitely like to have 10 key items because that does double the amount of experience you get, but they've been pretty sparse this seed, so it's going to head to the Giant now. Meanwhile, Mecha is gotten through the Mega Sister spot and will be getting the bad news here with the Dark Knight Cecil and the no payout. And we got to say, JP's strategy of taking 5 characters early seems to have paid off here, because he basically breezed through most of the seed up until now. There were some dicey moments, but no like big time-wasting wipes.
Yeah, and I mean, it really, really worked out for him. And honestly, I think I said this earlier as well, but I was kind of surprised that we didn't see many people doing similar strategies like that, and that the meta just became taking 3 characters and running with it. But I mean, this has worked out really, really well for actual JP here, mostly because there's been a lot of rude bosses early game, but yeah, it's been interesting to watch.
Here we can see JP running all the way up, which signals to me that he's on the spot of the seed where he's actually got to go up one more floor from here. Oh no, just wanted to be near the save point.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if Mecha decides to take either of these characters here. Nope, not going to take either of them here. Going to be taking on the... Well, this should be fine. The Catapult Guards here should be fine for him.
This looks to be the correct fight for JP. We're looking for the Searcher and 2 Beamers. This fight could be the Horseman fight instead. We have seen that end up for some people where they had their seed wrong, they had counted their steps wrong, and they thought this was the right fight, but once it starts summoning, then it ends up wrong. That's like the maximum time waste, so hopefully for JP's sake, this is actually the right fight, and we'll see a D-Machine summoned once he hits the Searcher and the Beavers are dead.
Yep. And, oh, well, I actually messed up my bosses. This is actually the DKC here, but gonna get through it nonetheless here. And unfortunately, he's gonna be getting a defense sword out of it, but that might sway him to take a cane here, which could get him through the Val fight, which if it has a pan, could be nice for him, but we'll see what he decides to do here.
Yeah, so what we're going to be seeing in this order, ideally, will be a character hitting the Searcher summoning the D-Machine, telecasting weak on the D machine, another character hitting the D machine, and either one or two characters throwing life potions onto that D machine as it's dying.
Yep, but it is a D machine. Unfortunately, because Tele has to be in the middle, you can't properly like manipulate your agility, so things can always get janky. But we'll see what happens here. See if his turn order is set up here, and it does look like it is. Sid is going to be hitting the D machine. Tele's going to be weaking here, and Rosa is going to be aiming at the D machine, and a life potion is going to be thrown out.
Yeah, this is looking good for JP. And, of course, the danger, if you don't have Tele in the middle spot here, is that he misses a weak, which can really throw this battle off and actually make it kind of easy to wipe.
Yeah, I mean, as much as the D machine is preferred because it has percentage-based attacks, but if, for example, you get a physical attack off before it before it's weak, it can actually, it will counter with a physical attack that is pretty punchy, and this fight can get really out of hand if things go off script. But hopefully for JP goes fine here. But just as I say that, Rosa gonna be skipping over Tele's turn here, so this is probably gonna be 2 fires. So that's gonna be a little bit of extra damage here, which is gonna be a little bit sketchy, but hopefully nothing bad happens.
Yeah, that'll really get you, or actually it's easy to forget that you haven't queued somebody up to actually punch the D machine and try to use life potions when it's actually not dead, and that just gives it more chances to punch your party. So you can see that's the reason why JP, this is kind of like a cautionary blink that's on Tele there, because if he goes down, then it becomes really rough, because the D machine is going to cast fire, and you have to have time to both get your Tele back alive and heal him before the next fire comes out, or else he'll just die again.
Yeah, I mean, there are a few ways to recover that. For example, you can always stop the D machine, which Palom should be able to do now, but I mean, it's gonna waste, if nothing else, it's going to be a pretty big time sink.
Ooh, Mecha's challenging Valvalis.
Yeah, I think this might actually be his first look at it, but he's at least gonna give it a go here since he hasn't reset yet.
Yeah, it is really tough to remember what positions you can hit her with your magic and where you can't, especially because that's determined by your own magic power and accuracy as well, so...
Yeah, I don't think if JP can't take that fight, then Mecha certainly cannot, so looks like that spot is going to be faded, but fortunately that should lead Mecha in the direction of Keyless Tower. Or, oh, okay, no, never mind. He's probably going to be taking an extra character here, so finally he's going to be running he's going to be running with more than 3 party members here. If he takes a cane here, that would be pretty interesting. It would get him through the Valvalis fairly easily. And I believe, unless he sold a defense sword, he should have one. So going on the cane here and getting through Dwarf Castle would be pretty nice. And yeah.
Yeah, it's at this point, if Dwarf Castle pays off, then I don't know if it puts Mecha ahead, because he's still got to go do the tower in order to get the Darkness Crystal. There's no way around it. You can't grind without the D Crystal.
I mean, there are some grinds, but as of now, no, you cannot.
What would be really spicy is if Mecha got Go Mode from Dwarf Castle and then just decides to do some Galaxy Brain low level strats for Zeromus.
I mean, if you got Go Mode from Dwarf Castle, you kind of have to do low level strats.
So you may be wondering why Sid doesn't have a weapon equipped on JP's screen.
Well, the Searcher can die, so you want to do as little damage to it as possible. It doesn't really matter how much damage you do to the Searcher. You don't really want to be doing much damage to it. As long as you can weak the Searcher at the end to end the D machine, it really doesn't matter. As long as you want to keep the damage that the Searcher's taking as low as possible. Which is why sometimes you'll see things like throwing dancing daggers at the Searcher to hit it, or as we're seeing right now, weaponless Sids.
I'm also interested to see how much JP grinds, because like this seed isn't over. We're still key item hunting. There's still going to be boss fights. So JP doesn't necessarily have to grind all the way to nuke right now, but depending on where those key items are, he might not have opportunity to get experience later. And he doesn't have the ability to slingshot like Mecha is going to have on at least one of his mages.
Yeah, that is an interesting choice here. I'm assuming if he does, but I mean, when you are going with kind of a mage-ish party setup, and Sid isn't gonna be doing Zerker tier damage, so I feel like you probably want to go up to nuke here. But you do make a good point with the fact that he can't slingshot, so it is gonna stuff like that's gonna be a little bit stuff like so getting up there is gonna take a while. So yeah, that is an interesting choice here. We'll see what happens here. So it looks like, okay, I thought, yeah, okay, so it looks like he's gonna be doing another one.
Some nice viruses coming out for Mecha. We'll have to see. Of course, Valvalis likes to cast Weak and also Partial Petrify, so depending on how often she's punching, oof, there goes Edward. You don't know if you can. This is not an easy fight still, even though Mecha did take the cane just to get through it.
But yeah, this Valvalis should be finished fairly quickly here, and I'm really excited to see what key item is behind this Valvalis, because depending on what that is, it could be really big for Mecha here.
You know, you would think the Fiend of Air would be immune to Quake, but that is not the case.
Yep, but Mylon Zias, so you know. Big brain FF4 things.
Thank you, Pidge, for the FF4 head there. I think that was a good situation for it.
And that Valvalis is going to be going down. Mecha going to be getting through there, and we do know it is Rubicant or Element at the second spot here, so either way should be fairly simple to get through for Mecha here, and it's time to see what key item he pulls from Dwarf Castle. Best case scenario, he pulls either Pan or Adamant, and he's in a pretty interesting position. He's also going to be seeing a Palom here. Decided to not take it for now, and we're going to see it is going to be Leg.
This is actually a pretty harsh situation because Mecha was almost dead coming out of the Valvalis fight. If he wipes here, he might not come back to try it again.
I really hope. Wow, the glare missed. That's not something you see every day. I mean, yeah, low magic, but that's
very nice to see the glare miss, because that guarantees a one-shot of any character in this party.
Yeah, in almost every single spot. There are exceptions, such as the element spot, where you're actually meant to survive glare from elements, but apart from that, yeah, there's not much else. Well, in the meantime, though, JP is going to be getting through this D machine here. I think best case scenario for Mecha here is that that I stupid with the healing. Yeah, that's annoying. But best case scenario for Mecha here is this leads to Pan, and Pan has Adamant behind it. Because if that happens, then Mecha's actually got the lead, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, if Mecha actually gets something that pays off here as far as objectives, that means that him leaving his party slots open, basically, which enabled him to take Kane later, it will actually have paid off like big time for him.
Yeah, and it's like I was talking about before, how the thing is, yes, taking 5 characters lets you get through the early game just so much quicker, but taking less characters gives you more flexibility, will make your grind faster because you won't have to do nearly as many D machines because you're slingshotting, and I mean, it can let you do stuff like, oh, I see double Valis here, I'm gonna go take a Kane. Whereas if you have 5 characters, you can't do that if you don't already have a Kane, so... I think it's been a really interesting race just because of the differences in that.
Yeah, the other thing, though, is if this doesn't pay off, that's 100% waste of time for Mecha, and he took a Kane to get through it and filled in one of the spots that he really didn't want to, and unfortunately, it's a power shirt.
Well, I mean, you never hate to see a power shirt, and I actually don't think taking the Kane is that bad for Mecha, but it definitely does hurt. Now, Defense Sword Power Shirt Kane is pretty good and will do some pretty nice damage here, but yeah, unfortunately, that is going to put him pretty far behind here.
Yeah, the sad thing is, for Mecha, he was trying to keep those party slots open, and that means if he had just taken the Kane earlier, he could have actually saved himself a lot of time on those bosses that gave him trouble, and, you know, could be in the grind fight along with JP right now, but is going to Keyless Tower now, so he's about to get funneled the same direction as JP, and he's going to fill out his party one way or another here very shortly.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is going to happen, I kind of doubt it, but we could see a spicy choice of just not grind. That would be interesting. But I don't know if that's really possible here, but that would be one way to potentially make up time if he can get through some rude bosses without grinding, but I don't know if that's really gonna happen here.
Yeah, that can pay off if you have to end up, like, if the 2 key items we need happen to be, like, the last boss spots that we end up checking. A lot of the boss experience on the moon is quite beefy, so if you run into a free boss or two first in order to get your party power up for the rest of them, it is definitely doable. It does require some factors to line up in Mecha's favor, though. And unfortunately, we haven't seen the Luca key yet either, so the non-Darkness Crystal grinds are pretty limited. There's either, if you find Sirens in Coco Shop, or you have a Luca key so you can try some trapped doors, but otherwise it's pretty sparse. Meanwhile, chat is mentioning that JP's D-Machine grind here is quite long. Now, I haven't been counting, but I do agree. It seems like he has done quite a few, maybe trying to overcompensate for the fact that he isn't able to slingshot any of his mages.
Yeah, but I mean, this is still an awkward Z-fight, since your only 2 real damage dealers are going to be, well, Palom and Rosa. That's a really awkward situation. So getting more levels is helpful here. And I mean, this is the thing I mentioned earlier, is like, if you take a Tela with when you have an Edward start, you basically are going to have 2 characters that aren't going to be doing anything. So right now, basically going to be having Sid, which is not going to be doing too much damage for him, and he has a Rosa and a Palom that are going to be doing the damage, which could be pretty sketchy for a Z fight, so yeah.
Mecha's about to get that Darkness Crystal, and I gotta assume we'll be heading directly to Massidia to fill out the 5th party spots, and also going to do a D-Machine grind. And will really only be the grind fight behind JP. So Mecha has gained a little bit of time just doing some checks that JP didn't do, getting some extra experience there. But it's not going to be enough to shorten up his grind in a meaningful way unless he does less D-Machines than JP.
Yeah, that would be another interesting thing I was about to bring up is what if you do enough D-Machines? Like, what if you take Rosa and then do, like, enough D-Machines to just, like, to get, like, Tier 4? And then you just go with that and do Moon. That would be an interesting strategy. I don't know if it's really viable here, but it is a play that could be made.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it, because your Tella, no matter how many levels you get on Tella, he's never going to be a great white mage for Zeromus. And like you said on JP's side, our only real 2 damage dealers are Palom and Rosa. But if Rosa has to do the white mage job, that limits her damage output.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that is... JP's Z-Fight is looking really sketchy right now. You're not gonna, like, reflect strats with just 2 people, that you're not gonna be, and then you have to share the white mage job. This is gonna be a really interesting Z-Fight here. Now, you could Zerg Sid, but that's not gonna be doing a whole lot of damage.
Yeah, and the problem with doing hybrid strats is then you risk screwing up the HP refill on Zeromus and making the fight twice as long.
Even then, like, the main issue there is, like, regardless of whether you reflect or not, you have to heal. Because you're not going to get that much damage done with just 2 reflect casters. So, it's interesting. Like, you could do Nuke and then Zerg Sid, but that's not going to be doing a whole lot of damage either. Yeah, this is a really weird situation.
Yeah, plus White, the spell animation for White and the charge time for White are way longer than Nuke. So it's ideally you want at least 2 Nuke casters. That's what you really want, but JP kind of committed early to not having that.
Yeah, and that is the kind of the issue with taking that many characters early on here. While Mecha is not even worried at all about that, because he's going to be able to take, he could take a second Black Mage, he could take White Mage. I'm actually not, I think he either has to take a White Mage or just go to a White Mage and take another Black Mage.
Yeah, it may seem like Mecha's super far behind now, but that's not actually the case. He does still have to grind, but he's going to have an extra Black Mage over JP. And that's not nothing. So we still need 2 key items, and there's different routes we can take on the moon. We can go top down, we can go bottom up, we can go over and check Cave Bahamut, and we don't know what JP is going to do yet and which way is going to pay off. And we see he's not wanting to leave some low-hanging fruit on the table. We do find Kenazo at the Odin throne. Of course, Adamant and the Pan could both be hanging out behind the Feymarch bosses.
Yeah, that is also a possibility. In the meantime, though, it looks like Mechalink is going to be up here. He still has that Excalibur, actually. So that would be an interesting thing to do here. I don't think he would take a Cecil here, though, without a White Mage.
Either 2s on the moon are going to make Mecha's grind a little faster.
Yeah, that is going to be helpful, but I'm just curious. The Kenazo, it's just going to be having a Samurai Bow. So, I mean, you can put that on the Rosa, but apart from that, it's not going to be doing much else.
So now that we've seen that Odin spot, we'll recap here. The only spots left to check are the King and Queen of the Feymarch, the bosses in the Lunar Subterrane, and Cave Bahamut. We've seen everything else that we can see right now.
And the Moon Boss is going to be a Cecil here. Now, I'm interested to see whether or not Cecil is going to be picked up here. I personally don't think I would in this situation, but I definitely wouldn't fault him for doing it, and he is going to be taking the Cecil.
We got to see Mecha leaving those two spots open and having to struggle through the early game with less characters may actually give an ultimate payoff here. Gonna see the back row glitch happening on that Cecil right away. We'll be getting Excal'd up, and guess what? This Cecil is level 1. That means he's gonna get slingshotted for ultimate Holy Sword power in the Zeromus fight.
Yup, that along with getting Kane a lot of levels through the D Machine could actually be really, really good here for the power overwhelming. And if he got power up to nuke, that would be pretty good too. I mean, power overwhelming, you know, this could be a really interesting setup for high-risk strats, and I think it could work out. I think the biggest issue right now is agility, but even then, I think if he gets also to a high enough level, and he's doing that much damage, I don't think it matters.
We see JP is not wanting to leave any checks behind on Earth before diving into the moon, so is heading back down to Feymarch to challenge these pretty rough, rude bosses here in the Feymarch.
Now, the main issue here is, as the tracker brings up in chat here, is that we have not seen Wyvern yet, so if, for example, Pan gating Adamant is behind a rude Wyvern, this could be really bad for Mechalink. Especially since we haven't seen a curse string, so that could be really interesting. But apart from that, if he gets the Cecil high enough, there's not going to be much that can really stop him. And I think once he gets Cecil to a high enough level, I don't think Z is going to be that rough.
Yeah, we'll have to wait to see what Mecha does, because it's going to be a bit. Mecha's got to grind now, is now doing the same bear manipulation that we've seen from JP. And JP opts to go with the Mom Bomb first.
Yeah, in the meantime, Mom Bomb is going to be taken on here by actual JP. Oh, that Sid is doing a lot more damage than I thought it would be doing. Okay, never mind. Okay, well, I thought it was going to be doing like 1k, but I guess not.
It's actually possible, I think, for JP to get through this Mom Bomb before she explodes.
I don't know about that, but I guess we'll see. It might be possible.
Hashtag the dream, everybody. Berserked Edward. Not in time to do anything, but we did see him.
Yup, in the meantime, Mecha's going to be setting up for the D Machine here, going to be picking up, and there's just going to be a Sand Ruby behind the Mom Bomb here. In the meantime, probably immediately going to go take on the next, yeah, the D-Mist.
We had a question in chat, have we seen who is in Kaipo for the Sand Ruby? You know, I don't believe anybody checked it. If they did, it was so long ago, I forgot. But their parties are both full now, so it'll just be full of regret if it's somebody good.
Yeah, but I think... I don't know. We'll see what happens here as the Demus is going to be taken on here. Now, the Leviathan spot is pretty punchy, but JP shouldn't have much trouble getting through here since Demus is I think he's like the only boss where you really want to do like bursts of damage because of his mist form. So that could be pretty. So he shouldn't have much trouble here nuking. Fortunately, white casts are going to be completely useless here, but Rose is going to be able to heal up in between rounds, so it's not going to be too bad.
Yeah, I mean, the D-Mist only does 3 punches before it turns back into Mist, so there's really no way for JP to get one-shotted as long as he stays healed up. Now, I do have to say, JP's cranking out these key item checks pretty quickly, so Mecha is going to have to take a different path. Mecha's got to hope that these Feymarch bosses are both busts for JP, and then also that Mecha does some routing on the moon that JP doesn't do.
Yeah, Mecha, I think you kind of have to go moon here, but you could make the argument that maybe JP decided to go straight to Moon. I don't know, I think he could go either way. Hopefully he goes Moon, but that's going to be partial bust here for actual JP. Now, there is still the Threemus check to make here, but that's one step closer to this being actually pretty good for Mecha here.
JP brought Tella back to life to cast Exit because he forgot he actually did Zot, so Rosa has Exit.
I mean, I rarely used Exit with Rosa. It's something that's pretty easy to forget. But in the meantime, I think it looks like actual JP might be doing the Valvalis now, which he should definitely be able to get through. Power Shirt is actually going to be pretty nice for that Sid here. So the reward's not going to be anything bad here. I think you take it, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, it's actually great for Mecha that JP is making this decision because it's going to be 2 more bosses in a cutscene that JP has to sit through. And this is all time that Mecha can make up.
Yep. I'm wondering how many D machines he's going to go up to. Is he going to go up to Nuke on Palom here? I think that's what you'd ideally want to do, but I don't know if that's what Mecha should be doing when he's this far behind, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, at this point you kind of have 2 choices. You can grind the minimum amount and just deal with the fact that your Cecil is at a really bad agility value, or you can overgrind and just not care because your Cecil's cranking out, 6,000 or 7,000 per hit.
But yeah, in the meantime, JP's could be taking on the Valvalis here. Should be able to zerk through it fairly easily here. That weak on that Sid is a little annoying, but doesn't really matter too much.
Yeah, the good thing about if you do not have Kane is that Valvalis actually punches less when she's spinning. So, and the punch is the only move that she does that can actually kill you. Oh, we see the dream again. Berserked Edward. Berserked Archer Edward.
I think he has Archer Bolt Charm Arrows.
Not just Berserked Archer Edward. Berserked Front Row Archer Edward. Oh, and this Edward has 2,600 HP, almost 2,700 HP. For those of you who thought, Edward can never survive a big bang. Well, guess what?
He can, if you slingshot him.
Through enough D-machines, all things are possible.
Yep. In the meantime, though, JP about to fight off this Rubicon here. Should be pretty quick here. 3,000 HP. Basically just... And that Ice 3 will be more than enough damage to do it. I think just Sid hitting should be good. Oh, a nice board face AI. Oh, well, yeah, weak magic, but still.
Yeah, you'd love to see a fully grind party coming back to do like a mid-game boss spot like this.
Oh, the healing.
The cape, no, the cape.
The cape.
This is a game changer. The new iPhone 12 Pro with 5G.
And because of the Berserks, we're going to be eating Fire 2s every time that Rubicon gets physically attacked. JP about to get the bad news here after sitting through the slow hand crawling cutscene.
Yup. So all he has left is to do is do the Threemus check, and if that's nothing, then that means Moon has value.
For Mecha's case, we have to hope that is true, and that Mecha goes to the moon first thing after its grind. Ooh, a little bit of airship trouble there, trying to get up.
That's always the best. Yeah, in the meantime though, JP gonna be going through his D machine. I imagine he's probably getting close to being done here. Oh, did JP forget to check Threemus?
Yeah, he did not go above ground, so is actually not checking the Threemus. This could be bad for JP.
This is actually really weird.
Yeah, I mean, with Adamant and Pan both being able to give Go mode right now, this is...
If he goes back to Earth and Threemus actually has something, could be ridiculously big for Mecha here. So I think now there's basically two ways Mecha wins. One is he goes to Moon and then he gets Go mode before JP, or Mecha goes back and then Threemus has something. Now I would still rather see him go Moon here because that's better odds. But I mean, wow.
JP finds a Baigen at Bahamut. Youch.
In the meantime, though, looks like Mecha is just about 4 levels off getting the nuke on Palom here, so that's still a pretty good D machine here. Should be able to get through basically everything he needs to get through now. But I mean, so
yeah, Baigen punches very fast and very hard here. Some blinks would be nice. Some illusions would be nice. We have seen them in shops, although I'm not sure that JP picked enough up.
when he does get nuke, he should be able to do... this is interesting.
Okay, whoa, so Mecha's done with the grind and is going straight to the moon.
It looks like he's gonna be going to Murasame Altar first. Or not, is he gonna go to Cave Bahamut? Either way, this is spicy. Wow.
So if any of these lunar subterranean bosses work out for Mecha, this would be a total, upset from... because JP was done grinding before Mecha ever even went to grind.
This is... I think we have a race now.
JP's slowly getting through Baigen. You can't put your spells directly on him because he does reflect his main body, but it's bouncing whites off of Palom in order to get it done.
In the meantime, it looks like Mecha is going to be going to Murasame Altar, potentially? Or he could be doing standard bottom up here, but no, it looks like it's getting Murasame Altar. So, yeah. I mean, this is a really interesting race right now.
Yeah, this is the fastest key item to get to besides the Cave Bahamut spot, so He may be hitting it, and then if this one doesn't pan out, he'll reset and go down to the ribbon room for the 2-for-1.
Well, I think the thing about Murasame is that it's one of those things where it's like, post grind, it's super fast. And, I mean...
And it's plague
like,
to boot, so...
Tries to get the count off here. JP is going to be getting a rat tail, so that is a turn in here. I think there is a chance that he safe scums it, but I don't know if he won't do that. If he safe scums and does demist, that could be really good.
Yeah, I'm so worried for JP now that something he needs is on that demist.
I honestly, I kind of wanted to check demist and then it's nothing, because then we have one heck of a range.
Oh, Mecha with the reflected counts. This battle's absolutely free now.
Yeah, this should be free right now. I mean, this is a crazy race right now. The fast getting reflected is actually gonna make that count go down faster, so that's pretty funny.
Yeah, there goes the Cecil, but that's okay. He's gonna get back up. That's gonna force more count to reset everybody else.
I'm kind of nervous that the count does. Uh-oh!
It's okay. Start throwing those life potions.
I think it's fine. Ah! Oh my god. Oh, just for a spoon! Oh, and Pan is at Rat Tail!
Okay, Bahamut paying off. Here we go. JP going to head to Zeromus first.
This is so... Oh... Whoa.
Mecha needs something, anything here to work out.
Yeah, if Mecha goes to King Bahamut right now, immediately he has a chance, because JP could wipe. But otherwise... Oh my...
Mecha also has a better Zeromus party, in my opinion.
Yeah, with all these levels. Oh no, he's going in there. There's always a chance. He could find Adamant. If he finds Adamant, then this is still a pretty ridiculously close race. But wow. So JP is going down Evelyn because he wants to check the shops to see if he finds maybe looking for a curse string. That would do it. Something like that. Yeah, just checking the item shops. Not much else of a reason to go back there. Silkweb would also be pretty important, but I think he has one. But yeah, now Mecha's gonna be walking down, probably gonna be going to do his moon checks, and this is...
Yeah, the only way Mecha stays in this is if the ribbon room 2-for-1 check actually gives the adamant.
Yeah, if it gives the adamant, this is a pretty interesting raise. Both runners do have pass as well, so... And I think Cole's is probably a faster turn in as well. That being said, I still think JP probably has to wipe for this to go Mecha's way. But I mean, that is a very real possibility with this party, I think.
There's the crystal for JP. We'll see what the sylphs give as well. Looks like it's the adamant! Everything's in one position!
Wow!
Necessary.
Well, okay, well, that's about it for Mecha.
Oh no! Cave Bahamut. Cave
That
Bahamut is necessary.
That could have been there for... Oh, that's so rough.
The lunar subterrane is 100% haunted and full of dead-end rabbit holes.
The only thing that is there is Cave Bahamut. Wow. That is insane. And yeah, I definitely see him trading here. If he finds any kind of gear in Cocoa Shop, that's going to be pretty good.
JP's showing us, I believe, one of, if not the only, all 4 objectives finishes this tournament.
Yeah. This is one of the few, and that's a pretty good Cocoa Shop. Strength rings are nice. Life Staff is going to make that Rosa a lot better. Not even going to, oh wow, not even going to take the Excalibur.
Just leave it. I don't need the...
I don't need it. Goodbye. Who needs a holy sword? I already found one.
Damashi, you gotta light up objective 1. 4 objectives complete for JP. So hype.
I think, no. Technically not completed, because he didn't take the Excalibur.
He didn't take it.
Wow, that is what a tease. But in the meantime, he's gonna be setting up, unequipping that heroin robe, or not, I guess. Does Life Staff even it out? I think so, right?
Oof, Mecha just getting a pink tail from the ribbon room.
Yeah, this is... Wow.
This is bad because we've seen all the other locations, so we know for a fact that Twin Harp is down here somewhere, and Lukaki is down here somewhere, which means Mecha may choose to chase those rather than going to Cave Bahamut.
Yeah, I think what would be best right now for Mecha is that Sheila 2 has Luca into Twin Harp. But in the meantime, actual JP is going to be getting through the pass door here, and it's time to see. I'm seeing some weird Z flags in chat. Do you have any idea of what that could possibly mean?
No, usually this means the crowd wants us to pander and say a line that they like to hear at this point in the match.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Could it be something like, whose butt are we going to kick this afternoon?
I think that's the one. Of course, a fan favorite here. Randomized final boss sprites. Zeromus can be one of more than 450 different enemies mined from various other games and RPGs and some non-games, in fact. So we're happy to see what the surprise is today.
Yeah, I kind of want to see fan service miss just because of the pandering, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, as the Z fight starts here, I don't know what his agility situation is like here, but this party is a little bit sketchy. But I think he should be able to get through it. He does only have one new caster, but that Zerk Sid being Zerk could do a lot of damage here, so I'm excited. I'm interested to see what this fight's going to be like. In the meantime, though, Mecha's going to be getting through the White Sphere Altar. Just going to find a Charm Rod. That's nothing good here. We know that there's nothing up here for him, but yeah, it's time to see what the Z-Strike's going to be.
Oh, I definitely like this one from Undertale.
Yep, really nice RPG there.
If we could change the music for the Z fight too, I know this song, the Zeromus fight song, is very, very popular and is one of the absolute bangers of the Final Fantasy series. But imagine if you could have the final boss music from Undertale playing here as well.
Yeah, it will be pretty nice here, but in the meantime, Sid is going to be Zerked, and he's going to be doing a ton of damage here. Soakweb going to be coming out here, and right now, JP going to be reflecting some nukes here. Rose is going to get nuked there. That's not your ideal target here, but with Life Staff, she's going to be taking like 0 damage.
Mecha, meanwhile, heading down all the way to the Ogopogo spot.
Yep, in the meantime, I think it looks like this is going to be a pretty straightforward fight here. I think JP is probably not going to be reflecting any wipes here, so the entire damage is probably going to be coming out from Sid and reflected nukes from Palom here. Likely to see some tier 2s and maybe some tier 3s thrown off by a chemist Edward here, since Edward actually has a lot of HP here, so Palom going to be healed up to survive some more on Nerf Big Bangs, while Rose is going to be throwing out tier 4s, and Eddie's going to be throwing out tier 2s. Should be perfectly fine here, from the looks of it.
Yeah, JP is very well set up. Like we mentioned during his grind fight, it was pretty long. This party is definitely a little bit over-grinded. It's very rare to see Palom with HP that can survive a fully rolled Big Bang.
Yeah, I mean, that Palom, especially in when the strong Big Bangs start coming out, can wipe to it, but it has to high roll pretty significantly, and I'm actually not quite sure what his gear is like, but depending on his gear, different things could happen. We are going to see a wipe here as well from JP.
Yeah, that's Mecha showing us Bahamut down at the Ogopogo spot as well. Not awful, but not awesome either.
Yeah, in the meantime, Mecha's going to get into yet another check. Just a Leviathan summon, so it looks like the bottom of the moon is going to be haunted, although he does have the Wyvern Altar to check here, but I think it's fair to say that Mecha is not in a very good spot here. Yeah, he's almost dead, I think, but you never know what could happen. Disaster could strike here. You never know when a Hyro could come in and be ridiculously rude here. Actually, looks like there's gonna be a attempted nerf here for this Big Bang here. This is purely for safety, probably to keep Rosa alive here. I didn't actually look at how he tried to nerf it, but I'm actually not 100% sure if it was nerfed or not, so guess we're about to find out right now. Palom's definitely going to die if this wasn't nerfed, though, unfortunately. But it was nerfed, and it actually rolls pretty low on Palom here, so Palom gonna be tier 3ing up here. Likely to see a quick tier 4 from Rosa, or... okay. Oh, okay, a wall. Well, that works as well. And here come the reflected nukes.
Oh, no. Black hole. That's gonna be a nuke incoming.
I mean, the real damage is probably coming out from Sid here, so this isn't gonna be too bad.
I don't always cast nuke on myself, but when I do, I deal over 9,000 damage.
Oh, the nuke on Rosa here. Now, fortunately, this is going to be a lot weaker than Palom's, but, yeah. Also, looks like there's going to be a live 2 onto Palom here, so full HP. Oh, Sid's also not Zerked anymore, and, Rosa's going to have to recast that, so this is kind of an example of how a Z-Fight can kind of get off the rails here a little bit here. I think we're probably going to see a tier 4 here. Gonna have to wait on the Zerk a little bit here, unfortunately, but I think he should probably be able to get back on track here since Palom is at full HP.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to see, and we can see that JP's kind of using some hybrid strats here, not really caring about the HP refill, just wanting to get through the battle as fast as possible.
Uh-oh, Palom is charmed here, but nothing's gonna come out of it. There have been some infamous clips on charmed Paloms doing mean things to their own party members, but unfortunately for Mecha, that's gonna be the Luke key, so that's yet another rabbit hole he can fall into.
Yeah, and that's it for the lunar subterrane for Mecha. So for his sake, we gotta hope he goes to Cape Bahamut before chasing any of these other key items.
Okay, it looks like he is going to be going to Cape Bahamut, so fortunately he is going to be back on track here. But it's going to be rocks for actual JPs here. This is the beginning of the end here. Much like the end's going to be much of anything, though. Oh, unfortunately going to be throwing out the crystal here, so probably getting baited a little bit by a shake here, so... Unfortunately, one of his party members is going to be taking the nuke here, but it's Edward. Edward can die. You just need to deal the damage here, and looks like Sid should be dealing the damage, along with the reflected nuke here. Probably doesn't even need to heal because of this is Sid being zerked here. And I think this nuke will probably do it, and there's going to be the flash. Actual JP is going to be winning the final, with an asterisk, race of the round of 32 here with an official race spot time of 2:02:15.
That's right. GG's JP. While we are getting JP in here for an interview, I will just mention that this finish, JP getting a win here, actually cements 3 of the top 4 spots going into the round of 16. This puts Dusty Griff first, of course, and then second is going to be Dia, third PK, and then we still need to determine the 4th place spot between Invenerable and Baka Shinobi. That's going to be done after the Slippery versus McBain tiebreaker race tomorrow. And we are joined now by actual JP. GG's on that win, JP.
Thanks.
Well, I gotta say, your decision to take 5 characters early paid off in a big way for you here.
I didn't really... It almost looks like my party from last night, except for Sid not being Kane and Rydia not being Palom.
Yeah, what kind of compelled you to take all those 5 characters on early on here, since you hadn't really seen much of any rude bosses that early on? So I'm kind of interested as to why you took 5 characters.
Well, I took Sid just to get through the early game. Palom was there, so I just took him. I forgot where I found Rosa.
Behind Evil Wall.
Right. Then I eventually saw Rosa, and that's really it. You got Tella for your D-Machine grind, and you're just good to go.
Yeah, so with that strategy, it seems like you were probably more focused on the early and mid game versus your Zromus fight. Were you kind of just thinking, once I get through all of that, the Z fight's going to come?
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes the early game can be rude, so you really just want to get through it, get as much XP as possible, and then hopefully your mid game is going to take care of itself.
Well, yeah, speaking of rude, you guys did see the Leviathan followed by Dark Imps in Baron Inn, which was actually kind of a 1-2 punch that we weren't expecting to be so difficult. Mecha wiped there quite a lot, and you actually did as well. So you had to retool, but then you got through it pretty easy.
Yeah, it was... I needed more bodies to throw at the Dark Imps, so I had to keep Edward alive that time. And it worked out with the stone.
So, did you intentionally demist, or did you forget to pick demist up?
Well, where was demist?
Yeah, there was the Leviathan slot, and we were curious if you had forgotten or not. I'm assuming you forgot based on what you're saying, but...
No, I didn't really, I never picked it up, did I?
I don't think you did.
Wasn't it a Sand Ruby?
Sand Ruby was the Mom Bomb, I think.
Then I probably forgot if I don't even remember what I got from it.
Well, luckily for you, it didn't get, we don't know what it gave, but seeing as how the other objective was behind the objective that you ended up getting, it kind of all worked out for you.
Yeah, that went really well for you. We're all a little angry that you decided to not check, and to not get the Excalibur here, and actually, it just came up in your spoiler log. Twin Harp was behind the Demist.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wouldn't have even gone there. Yeah, the value cave pays off as usual.
Why did you go there first instead of opting for something like going bottom up?
It was just there. I figured I'd check it. Biking was pretty simple. Then I wanted to see what was behind the rat tail saved on the moon, and I was just gonna reset back up if it wasn't anything, but it turned out to be the pan.
Oh, very neat. You did you kind of got through pretty smoothly through a lot of the pain points that Mecha had, and your grind went great. You in fact you grinded to a level that, I mean, your Edward could survive big bangs. You knew kind of where you wanted to go, it's clear. Anything else you want to say about this match or the seed before we let you go?
It was a pretty fair seed. Minus the moon being mostly haunted. Well, the Crystal Palace, at least, anyway. Yeah, I'm just glad I didn't have to employ Edward strats, because I don't know them.
Oh yeah, that would have been pretty rude there, but yeah, GG's on the race here. I mean, it was purely for pride here, but I mean, you know, he has to win something.
Yep, I'll at least get a cookie or something.
I'll give you a cookie.
But most of all, thanks to the Restream team, thanks to everyone who organized this tournament. I had a lot of fun doing it. I hope to... We'll see if I can actually get back into it. But there's a lot of good runners out there, so I'd have my hands full in the future.
For sure. Well, congratulations getting this far into the tournament, and have a good one. Thanks for coming on today with us.
You guys too. Have a great afternoon.
Yep, you too.
Meanwhile, getting back to Mecha, who is now turning in that pan from Bigan, I do want to go back and say this stream has been brought to you by our restreamer Gundam Pilot Spaz and our tracker Damashi, and of course my co-commentator here, Marty.
Yep, and actually, as we say that, we're going to be seeing the Twin Harp check here, so let's get listening to that. Although in the meantime, it looks like Mecha did actually go do Cave Bahamut, turn in his rat tail, get his pan, and now he's going to be getting his crystal and so yeah, almost a 17 out of 17 actually, but for how many wipes he took, he definitely put up quite the fight here. We'll see if he actually does decide to forge here. His Z fight should actually be fairly interesting because of vanilla agility and all the levels that Cecil has, but I believe Palom got nuked off of the Bigan fight, so it shouldn't be too bad, I don't think.
Yeah, and we have seen every boss spot now in the seed except Cave Magnus.
And I really want to know, what is it? What could it be?
Well, if we did process of elimination, I'm sure we could figure it out because we've seen everything else. We saw all gauntlets. So actually, I think it's Wyvern.
So it's Wyvern or... Did we see King, Queen, Evelyn, or Waterhive?
No, we didn't see.
We haven't seen
any of those
either. So there's actually 3 bosses that are, that we still don't know about.
Well, we have a boss behind the package.
Oh wait, giant.
And then we have 2 bosses inside the giant, which we were never going to see those.
So Water Hag, King, Queen, Wyvern, Elements, according to our tracker. Is that all of them? I don't think, did we see the Baron Guards? I don't know if we... Yeah, okay, so those are all the bosses left.
Not too shabby. I mean, considering we've seen all of the seed, 2 hours is not that bad at all.
Yeah, this is looking like a full gauntlet seed, honestly. I mean, 4 out of 4 objectives, basically, actually, 4 out of 4 objectives is basically like the route you kind of have to take, actually. That's pretty funny. I guess you could, you could skip Antlion, actually, and still be good, but, or pass, so I guess, yeah, but either way. Yeah, level 51 Edward here, Samurai Bow, what arrows does he have, like?
Yeah, it's I am interested to see Mecha's Zroma strat because, like we said, his party makeup's quite a bit different than JP's. The Cecil is going to be doing some heavy lifting for sure.
Yeah, I mean, both of these runners had weird, like, party setups and for just in general, so, you know, this was a really, really good race, and I really enjoyed watching it, but we do have one, I guess, kind of last hurrah here for Mecha here. Unfortunately, going 06 here, but I did hear he put up a fight for a lot of those races, so that's always nice to see. Looks like he is going to be putting a Drain Sword on that Cecil. Oh, that hurts. Wait, never mind. I thought he was trying to get him to I don't know what I was thinking there. I thought 32 agility was equal to 42, but it's not. But he is going to be putting on that Drain Sword to try and get his party members to speed up a little bit. For the unaware, when relative agility gets set at the beginning of a fight, so having that Drain Sword on and swapping it to the Excalibur isn't going to affect anybody's relative agility. It will make Cecil faster, though, or I don't know if it will make him faster, but it'll at least make him... It'll at the very least make him hit a lot better than that Drain Sword.
Yeah, this is actually one of the few situations where you want to change weapons and have your stats get updated. Usually, we're taking a high power weapon like the Excalibur or Crystal Sword and swapping it for an Avenger, which has the Berserk status. Your stats don't get updated because you never took an action, and then you get to attack with auto Berserked Cecil with Crystal Sword or Excalibur power. This time we're actually doing it the other way because we want the agility to be in our favor, and then we can put the attack power in our favor as well by switching to the Excalibur.
Yeah, you can also quote-unquote dupe like Excaliburs and Crystal Swords by Zerking, then Cecil gets their turn, and then unequipping the Crystal Sword or whatever just as the Berserk's coming out, and then you can have 2 Cecils with 2 Crystal Swords, kind of. But that's a little bit harder to set up. But yeah, we're not going to be seeing that. Instead, we're just going to see a swap from the Drain Sword to the Excalibur. Probably a Zerk coming out here, and probably going to be hybrid. So nukes coming out from Palom here, while it's going to be Zerks for both Furcane and Cecil here, who are both probably going to be putting out quite a bit of damage here.
It was too certain for that nuke. It didn't target the current Zeromus. It was still trying to target the original form.
But yeah, Vale's going to be going up on Edward here, and yeah. See how this goes here. I don't believe there has been any slow cast here, but I think the most important thing to note about this C fight and why I think it's going to be a little sketchy was that second Big Bang?
Huh.
Was that second Big Bang? I sure hope it was, because if it wasn't, I'm confused.
Yeah, it hit very hard, and I think it's because Mecha was expecting the first nuke he casted to nerf that Big Bang, and it didn't actually hit.
Okay, that explains a lot. Okay. If that nuke had hit, my brain would have exploded, but it didn't hit, so that explains it. There's two variations of Big Bangs. There's strong and weak ones. The first Big Bang's actually a strong one, so it can do up to like 2600 damage, something like that.
Yeah, that's where the crazy damage roll system in Final Fantasy IV comes into play, because you can get a full power Big Bang that hits you for 1600. You can get a full power Big Bang that hits you for 2400. Whereas if you nerf them, meaning you've forced Zeromus's script to reset his spell power right before he casts Big Bang, then you can only get hit for like 600 to 1000.
Yeah, the damage rolling system is definitely interesting, and I don't know if Mecha can really go for nerf Big Bangs, because typically the setup you want to be doing is with 2 Zerkers, because at RA1, because then you just wait for the shake, and then you just wait for a swing to come out, and then you just throw the crystal, and you should always get it. I mean, there's a lot more nuance. There's a bit more nuance to that, but that's basically the answer, because you want the crystal to go off 2 ticks after Zeromus shakes, and the Zerkers let you count those ticks, basically. But that's not really going to happen, especially because his agility is messed up to the point where I don't know if I would be brave enough to go for it. Especially since this party order is this janky. Did he forget to switch the Drain Sword off?
I haven't seen.
I don't think he switched it, so that's a little bit annoying. Hopefully he notices it though, but I don't know if he will, because first attack here should always miss here, so if he zerks the Cecil before he swaps out the Excalibur, that could actually be pretty bad. Looks like he's gonna be casting slow though immediately here. Now unfortunately Zerking is gonna be actually a little bit annoying because he only has Tella, so he kinda has to try and keep Tella alive here. Nuke is gonna get reflected though, so that's gonna be pretty nice.
Yeah, keeping all 5 party members up is great. You're right, that is still a Drain Sword.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think he's realized it by now, and Tella's gonna get cured here. I think the main thing he really needs to try and to do is to get his Zerks off here. I mean, this is actually a really, really rough situation, because you can't get your Zerks off consistently, unless you keep reviving Tella, and relying on Tella for any kind of white magic throughout the fight is never fun.
Yeah, we were saying earlier, like, Tella is not a great white mage, even with levels enough to survive some low roll Big Bangs. He just can't output the healing that you'd want. So we're really relying on Big Bangs getting nerfed here, like more than we usually would be.
Or Tier 3's coming out, which doesn't look like he has very many Tier 3s. So that's not good either way. There's gonna be a shake here. I don't know. Yeah, you can't nerf that.
$8,000 per nuke, though. That's not nothing.
Yeah, but Palom's dead, so gonna have to revive both Tella and that's GG. You don't recover this. I don't think. It would be insane, but yeah, reviving Tella's HP is probably gonna run out soon unless he gets a miracle Tier 4 out. I would single target. Could Tella have a life staff here? Because if he has a life staff, then that's actually okay-ish. I just don't know if you can really get away with doing this, because you need Tella to survive. Like, you can't do... Okay, that's a low roll. But what does he do for strong Big Bangs? And what does he do about viruses?
Yeah, this is a bad situation. Tella just isn't the guy for this.
You could go for BS6 strats here if it gets bad. Actually, no, you need actual agility to be set up for that, so that's not gonna happen. But yeah, this is not a good situation. And this is partially the reason why I don't think I would have personally taken a Cecil here. Now, if he's feeling spicy, he might be able to transition into Eddie. No, he can't because he doesn't have his agility set up. I keep forgetting about that. But yeah, I don't know if you can really do this fight right now. I don't know if it's really possible. Drain Sword strats are a thing that was just mentioned. You could hold A with the Drain Sword throughout the entire fight, but that would be ridiculously slow. So I'm curious if that's what the play is now.
$500 damage at a time. It's not my favorite thing, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no, that'd be slower than Eddie strats. That'd be like 22-ish minutes. It would work, but it would be terrible. Especially since he's not... Especially since he's in a pretty terrible agility.
If only we'd found everyone's favorite Drain Spear. You could do both.
Well, Drain Spear strats, I've heard about them being done with, like, adamant armor. Like, that's how bad it is. But, I mean, theoretically... But yeah, that you could give the drain to Kane. That is also a play. That's probably what you should do, actually. Would jumping be better for that? So, like, jumping over the big, like... I don't know if that's a play you really would want to do, though. Maybe you want to do more damage.
Yeah, I'm at my core a coward. I do not like coming to Threemus at all without a dedicated white mage. But if you have to, your strategy is basically to deal so much damage so quickly that you don't have to heal that much, or have a dedicated potion thrower. And Kane can do that. We need the Cure 3 stack in order to enable it, though.
Yeah, I think this is often why it, like, as a good rule of thumb for a Z fight, it's like, if you can't, like, kill before, like, third Big Bang, then bad idea to not heal. It's also not a good idea if you can't consistently nerf Big Bangs. So, neither of those conditions are met here, so this is just a really, really rude Z fight here. It does look like we're going to see some jumping here, so this could be another strategy that he's going to be using to try and get through it.
And honestly, if Mecha took another wipe, we may see a battle speed decrease.
I would be going for, like, battle speed 6-ish here, I think, in this situation. If he gets really desperate, he could go and try to get Bacchus, farm Bacchus wine, but that's, I highly doubt that's a thing that's gonna happen.
Now, this fight does look to be going quite a bit better than Mecha's previous effort.
Yeah, the jump probably helps here. If he gets lucky, he might be able to jump over a Big Bang, which would definitely be really helpful. I think something I would consider here is looking to get more Cure Potions, because if I can get Cure Potions, I might be able to potentially go do Edward Chemist strats, where I just hide the Edward, unhide him, and then heal up some people. I think that's definitely something worth considering. I don't think he's going to do it with this current setup, because Edward has the Veil right now, though, which I don't know if that's ideal. It's definitely not ideal, but it would at least give you something.
We are seeing double Berserk here, which is not great because everybody else is dead. We gotta hope for a black hole to take the Berserk off.
Yeah, or it just rolls into Meteo, I guess. I don't know how much damage he's done, but if it rolls into Meteo, then something could potentially happen here. I don't know how good the damage is, though. It looks decent, but no, that Big Bang is... Well, maybe if Cecil lives by some... If Cecil lives, then this is technically a thing.
Yeah, Meteo phase can miss quite a bit, but there's the black hole. So
Black hole? Okay. This is potentially recoverable. My main issue is that he's RA5 and he just took another turn, and the nuke is gonna kill him.
Yeah, that hurts. There's just no way around it. You have to get lucky with this party setup. High roll Big Bangs are not a thing you can really take, and the wrong character counter nuked is something you can't really take.
Mine is okay. By taking off that ninja hat, his agility is 30, so that might make his agility situation better. I still don't know if with his current setup that's really gonna happen, but
Okay, Mecha heading in. What is this, the third or the fourth time?
third or fourth sounds about right.
I do think kind of finagling Caesar's agility a bit will help a lot. You'd be surprised how much your agility matters in this fight. It's like one of the fights where it matters a lot. Okay, so getting the turn order correct, looks like Mecha wants a specific character to throw the crystal.
Yeah, it looks like he wants Cecil to throw it out. I'm still curious how he's gonna go about doing this. Did he, maybe did he check Pinktail?
I don't believe so. Well, it seems like he should have because he was already there.
He should have, especially because he didn't know it was go mode. And if he might have been able, if he hasn't checked it, he might maybe check it to see if you can find like a white shirt to put on Tella or something. Okay, is that on Tella? Because I think putting that on Tella might be a good idea. Life staff, white shirt on Tella, and then he can maybe heal. But yeah, we'll see what happens here. Nuke on Kane. Looks like because of the counter nuke, the Big Bang should have been nerfed here, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, Mecha's using all the tools he has available, and he does have the tools available, but it is going to require just a little smidge of luck. You really don't want to take like a super high rolled Big Bang. Ideally, Tella lives through all the Big Bangs. That's really what you need the most. Good use of Cure 3s here from Mecha, keeping Edward up. That just allows another character to be a target to soak counter nukes that come out, and also to act as another chemist.
Yeah, Hydeward can. He also needs the Edward to be up because of the nukes here. Was that a direct nuke? Or did I just not see the menu? I feel like that was a direct nuke, but I guess I'll see. Okay, that was a direct nuke, so... Looks like an attempted nerf to an attempted nerf here. An attempted nerf here, speaking.
See, that's what I'm talking about, the luck. That nerf hits on Edward, so instead of killing Tella, it instead just deals more damage to Threemus.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's gonna be another shake. So, yeah, that's not great, but slow coming out here. Another attempt at nerf here. I don't know if this is consistent, mainly because his relative agility is messed up and he's not really going by any timing here. So this feels like he's just trying to get a little lucky here, but hopefully it does get nerfed so he can finish off here, but...
Yeah, lucky one of those counter nukes went on Cecil, who happens to have 4,000 HP, and a Cure 2 off on him to make him safe through this next Big Bang as well. Basically, with Cecil's damage output here, as long as he makes it with pretty full HP to the final phase, that's going to be GG for Mecha.
I actually really like the hiding of Edward here. I think that will potentially let him recover from oh, that was a fake shake, wasn't it? Oh, I see what he's doing now. Oh, okay, no. Okay, so he does have a way to time nerfs. So what he was doing is, in Vampire Shreds, there's a way if you're in BS3 to buffer, like, to count ATB ticks. I don't actually know if that's gonna work here, though, because there might have been animations playing. Oh, he gets the Meteor.
That's the Meteor phase, and Cecil's got a good amount of health.
This fight should be over here.
Yeah, Cecil's got a decent amount of health, so... Oh, wow, first down already. There we go. Only one cast of Meteor, and Mecha is through with a time of 2 hours, 33 minutes, and 50 seconds for the first regular season match of the round of 32.
And I believe you're joining Mecha for an interview, GG, so, how do you feel about that seed?
I feel like I didn't play particularly well, but the first part was hard if you didn't take Sid. If you'd taken Sid in the early game, like, your life would have been very easy, and I didn't, and it was very hard. And yeah, I mean, and other than that, it clearly came down to a coin flip of where did you check on Moon first, and I did not check Bahamut Cave first.
So out of curiosity, why were you I don't want to say stubborn, but basically you were going with 3 characters for quite a while, despite there being like a lot of like, for example, the Dark Imps, like actual JP, your opponent. He took 5 characters almost like right away while you waited on it and went with 3 characters for most of that seed, basically, until it was grind time, which I feel like the seed was pushing you to take another character, especially when 2 of your 3 characters are Tella and Edward.
Right. I honestly think that I should have taken Sid as my 3rd, and then I would have been fine with 3 characters. But that is not what I did. And yeah, no, I mean, taking Sid there as a 4th was probably a safer strat. But at this point, right, like, this is as much learning as it is playing. And so I had run into a situation that was interesting in a lot of ways. That combination of those 2 bosses in particular is very, very brutal. And so I've kind of focused down on figuring that out. Technically, I probably should have taken a Sid either as a 4th or as a because we had an Earth Hammer, right, like as the best weapon that we had access to.
Yeah, you know, when we were watching you, it did seem for a moment like your 3-character play was going to pay off big time because we had not seen what was at Dwarf Castle,
Mhm.
and you know, JP had faded Dwarf Castle very hard thanks to the Valvalis, but you actually had room in your party to go grab Kane for it. So we were actually hoping that paid off, but of course it ended up
wasn't
it
good.
was just not your lucky day on it.
I mean, and that's why you don't go up to 5, right? Like going to 4, right? Like might have been correct, right? Like I really think that the correct play was not taking Tella early, right? Tella did not carry his weight as 3 people, right? Like if you're going to take Tella, take him to grind, right? So your party in the overworld should have been Hallam, Sid, and Edward, and then right like you hit Valvalis, maybe you take the Cane, maybe Sid's good enough at that point that you don't need to. And then after that, right, like you can, or you take Tella, and like use Berserk on Sid to make him good enough. And then right, taking Cecil at the end, to use the Excalibur. Or you just take Kane, right? Like, and Kane's good enough with a defense sword.
Very true. And we know your Zeromus party was super awkward thanks to no white mage, but you did show off some nice chemistrats and some nice flexibility in how you approach the battle through your attempts.
I mean, the biggest thing was that I should have been on BS3 from the beginning. BS2 and Zeromus is not something that I'm particularly familiar with. I'm used to BS1 from the old days or BS3 from my low level practice. In the previous fight before I won, I threw a nuke that would have nerfed if it was in BS3, but it was just off. So that one, like that would have been saved in BS3. But and you would like essentially would have been the exact same thing that you saw in the last fight, or like just with less people around, because of that counter nuke. But yeah, no, I mean I was testing things through. I don't think I should have bought them. I would have bought that many apples if the race had still been going. But I wanted to play around with Tella surviving. Given that I had no ethers, right? Like the correct thing to do there was to buy ethers, have star veils, right? Like have cure 3s, right? Like kind of the standard low level strats, so to speak, load out. But again, I wanted to, right? Like with the race over, I wanted to see how far I could push it, right? And so you saw each of those 4 fights where it like get progressively less aggressive and progressively closer to kind of a standard strategy, right? And I had checked that weapon shot before, right? So I knew that I had the ability to reduce my agility down.
Yeah, I think that was probably in your mind primary when you found that Cecil on the moon.
And yeah, I had not. I have notes on what level to put Cecil at, how many to kill. I killed one more D machine that I wanted to. And that did not, like literally one, not like 1 + 1, one more D machine that I wanted to, and that sent Cecil a little higher than I wanted him. If I hadn't done that, I think he would have been at the exact 28 with a drain sword, that my notes would have indicated. So yeah. No, I mean, on the overall, right, like the major shape of the seed was just that kind of coin flip on on which direction you do moon, I think. Or did he do full clear and just was faster than me at the start?
Oh
He
no, he never went into
drove
lunar
away.
subterranean at all.
Okay, yeah, that's what I figured was that he also had trouble because this was not a nice seed.
Well,
Exactly the Valvolus, right? Like could have been particularly brutal.
I think that the main difference is that he took 5 party members a lot earlier, so he did not have nearly as much trouble with Yoga Pogo and the Dark Imp, so he had quite the lead on
Right.
you. The main difference, I think, that why you were kind of catching up and why it came down to the whether you go Bahamut or not is that JP checked like all of basically full cleared Earth while you went to Moon right away.
I mean, I full cleared Earth.
Well, like Leviathan, the
Okay.
Demon.
Okay, yeah, no. I mean that was the other thing that I had to hope that he was doing, and
Dwarf Castle post grind, which
right. Then did he not do Twin Harp?
he didn't get the Demonist.
Oh, okay. He didn't do the demist
He forgot
fight.
it.
Oh, he just didn't do it. Okay. That hurt me. Okay. Because he would have done Twin Harp for sure. In that same clear the Earth line. Yep. That's what I had to hope was that he did Earth first, but yeah. But yeah, obviously if I had done the first thing different, right? Like the result is different. But like I said, right, like the situation itself was interesting enough and I felt that the tools were there. I just wanted to kind of focus down on it. Since I was so far away from having taken a sit first, which is like I realized that taking the Tella was wrong partially through ordeals when I was kind of doing my thinking ahead, and so yeah, like should not have taken Tella early. He was not going to carry his weight.
Well, you played it as best as you could, and you got nailed with some coin flips near the end of the match for sure. Anything else you want to say about the match before we get on to a short announcement and send our viewers on the way?
I wanted to note some of the things at the end. Somebody Munch and Y wasn't bouncing slow off the wall. That was an attempt to that Teleslow was an attempt to get a nerf in. Right, like because slow is slower than an instant speed action. I wasn't sure if that would hit. Both times I think I tried it, not reflected for exactly that reason. But yeah, a lot of that stuff at the end was very techy and trying out things to figure out again, right, kind of how close to the edge you can play that setup. With Crystal Sword, I think that you don't have to go anywhere near that conservative. But I'm actually not that used to going with just an Excalibur in these flags, especially.
Oh yeah, we've definitely seen tons of people ditch Cecil even with Excalibur available.
Exactly, right? Like so, like Excalibur, specifically Excalibur, right? Like made this a different calculus than would have been used to. So again, right? Like there are reasons to once I was right, like once the race was over, right? Like there were reasons to try stuff. So
cool. Well, thank you again for having us here for it's like your final match of the tournament and the final regular match of the round of 32. In fact,
that's right. Yep. Thank you all for restreaming. Obviously, like I said, this is it for me. My names were the names of everybody that I'd played against, or that was scheduled against me, along with testing partners. So then, yeah. Thank you all for watching. And you have an announcement about that last match, I assume. So I will leave you to it.
well, thank you.
Yeah.
And that announcement is actually that we do have a kind of a postseason match between Slippery 42 and McBain. That will be tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Time here on the Free Enterprise channel. That's tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. That's going to determine who is the 16th spot in the round of 16. And we will also have the coin flip to determine who is the number 4 seed between Bacchus Shinobi and Invenerable that same stream. So once again, I've been here with my partner Marty.
Yep, and I believe we are about to go and raid Bad Karma, who is currently playing a table seed sent to him by Asuka, the infamous seed roller. So, yeah, when you get sent over there, make sure to not spoil this match here. Make sure no spoilers, and yeah, have fun.